Okay, well, everyone, welcome back to SABADO Sessions Podcast. We're your hosts, and today we have Angelo from USAPL, Two White Lights podcast. First of all, bro, how are you? How's training? How's life?
Thank you for having me on. I was looking forward to it for a while. Uh, Training's going pretty well. I mean, I'm never like fully satisfied with my training, but I think that happens when you start getting stronger.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to actually continue to get stronger. But training's going well, and life is pretty good right now. Can't complain. How about you boys? How are you guys doing? I'm happy to finally talk to you guys.
I
I got
guess
a
right.
smile on my face and a beer in hand.
I guess right now it's kind of like was it on the other side of the fence for you because you're the one usually hosting podcasts, and now it's on the other side, so you're used to asking how people
Uh-huh.
are. But to answer your question, I mean, I'm all good. Nothing really prepped. Nothing really to prep for. Durance.
Oh yeah, I'm all right. I mean, I'm prepping for the Euros, so yeah, and training's going really well. So one of them trainings or them prep where you can't wait for the meet because you feel strong, you feel healthy. Fun enough, Angela, if you tell me the Euros is next week, I'll go and compete. You know, that 5 weeks I got, I'm thinking is long. And I'm kind of like, I got all my fingers and toe crossed. I'm thinking, I don't want to get an injury. But at the moment, I feel like fucking amazing.
Oh, that's good, man. Yeah, that's I don't know, like I can kind of relate to it in a way, but at the same time, I'm a bit of a nervous competitor. So like
Mm.
6 weeks out for me, it's like I'm not joking. Every single time, like going into meet, I'm like, what if I just forget how to lift? Like on
Shit.
the day. I think about that
Yo.
all the time. Like, what if I forget how to deadlift? Like where I can't like get my second attempt off the floor. I always think about that. And yeah, then like the second attempt moves. But I mean, there's been so many occasions, like what you're saying, like of me being like prep is going really well, things are going, and then I have that stupid thought in the back of my mind, like, what if next week you just forget? What if he just
But me,
starts sucking out of nowhere?
my thought is not even the forgetting. My thought is, but what about if next week I go and load like 360 or 260 squat and I go down, I can't come back up,
Yeah.
right?
Oh
And I'm
yeah.
gonna ruin my prep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I, you
So
know, I can't help but relate. I can't help but relate to what you just said, bro. It's like even if it was just like 8 weeks out, I'm looking at my program, I'm like, yo, I don't know if I could do these numbers. Like, and the thing about me is like the nervous thing is it's legit hard for me to like cope with sometimes. Like there are some meets I've gone into with like literally zero sleep, and Durance can attest to this because he was there with me. He's just there in the morning like, yo, have you slept? I'm like, nah, because it's just like yeah, it's gotten to me. Like, am I gonna forget how to bench? Am I gonna forget commands? It's just little shit like that. Even though I've done so many, I just feel as though am I gonna be able to do the same as before? Was that just a fluke? And it's kind of like imposter syndrome almost, like seeping in, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
So yeah, I kind of I don't know if that's what you sort of
No, no,
experience
I feel
also.
you. I always feel, dude. I mean, like legit 2 weeks out for me, and I'm like, do I squat high? And I'm
Yo,
looking back on my videos, like, do I squat high? And I look and I zoom in, like, I think I'm squatting high. And then I'm like messaging my coach, like, dude, do I squat high? He's like, are, are you asking me this now? Like, why aren't you asking me like when you actually send your squat videos in? Because I get like that in my head. And my girlfriend could attest to it too. Because I'm like looking at my like a good squat. I'm like, that looks high to me.
yeah.
And it's like 8 hours after the fact when I lift. Because and then same thing with my deadlift lockout. Same thing with I mean, my bench sucks ass anyway. So like, it's
Whoa, whoa,
yeah, just
hey,
watching my videos again on bench, it's like, yeah, I don't give a shit. Like it's gonna be 165 and 170 regardless. So I'm actually like less nervous on bench, even though it's my worst lift. But same thing at squat and deadlift. I always doubt my lifts.
you know what? I think that's more common than you think because Durance gives me the same sort of vibe too. I've handled him, I don't know how many times now, but every time he's about to bench, he looks so calm, too calm even. He's like to the point where he doesn't even care if he gets it or
dude,
not.
my
Which
bench sucks. So why should I care?
yeah,
I'm just gonna lay there and then bench my 170, 175, and then I'm gonna move. That's it. You know?
but that being said though, like even though you're saying your bench sucks, man, like looking at your numbers, total wise, bro. Like you did mega nats with what,
Mhm.
817?
819.
819.
819 and a half.
19.5.
Sorry,
Yeah, 'cause that's what
819. Sorry, I know it's like an even number in the end.
Mm.
But man, that would have won worlds, bro. That would have won
yeah.
worlds.
Well, I appreciate it. But it's like, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say like I wasn't proud of that performance. I was ecstatic for my performance. But it's always in the back of your mind. It's like, man, if you just had a 7.5 kilo better bench,
Mm,
you'll be in a bit different position where who knows what you can do with your deadlift and with your squat. And then you're talking about the true best in the world. I know
yeah.
it's, the world championship's very prestigious and important, but you got to take that total away from Russ. Like
Mm,
Oh yeah.
that's the true best. Across federations,
yeah.
and we just know if we improve that bench and we get it 5 to 7 kilos better, we can have a lot of wiggle room with our deadlift and squat, and it'll actually force him to make lifts. I think he wraps up competitions on his second attempt deadlift, or sometimes his openers on deadlift, just
Yeah.
because of how good he is. So it's always like it's always killing me. Like if we just figured out how to make progress on bench, we're possibly breaking a unofficial world record, official world record, and the national record on the total.
Damn.
So when that happened, that means you will transition to actually be a true world champion.
I mean, I'll probably go over to the IPF and actually get that title because
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah, I mean, the title does mean something. Like you go into an international competition where IPF has the best international competition, international world championships, easily the best. People represent their countries and people are at the highest caliber there. So the title of world champion is still accurate. Delaney Wallace is a world champion. I'm not taking that away from him. Is he the best in the world? No, Russ is. Russ is the best in the world. But
Mhm.
undisputed, if I go and take the total record away from Russ, and beat him in head-to-head competition, then go to the IPF and do that, I'll be the undisputed world champion. So if I
Yeah.
beat Russ, I'll be the best in the world. But if I go to IPF and win worlds, I'm a world champion. Sounds
Yeah.
stupid, but it's kind of like how boxing works. You don't
Yeah.
need a
Like
title
with the
sometimes to be the
IBO,
best in
the
the world. Yeah.
WBO, and yeah, I
No,
get you.
that's not stupid, but I think you hit the nail there in terms of like the world title is a prestige title that you'll have that will last. Because the thing is, this is what I always say, right? You beat Russ in the USAPL. Yes, you are the best. You are the strongest in the world. Let's say that,
Mhm.
right? You are the
Yeah.
strongest in the world by beating Russ with that total. But winning a world championship when you come 10 years, 15 years later, that will sound much better than you beating Russ in the USAPL. That's how I take it as, right? That's always been
Yeah.
taken. But again, in terms of like Russ is the strongest, is the best in the world, and probably the best of all time at the moment, the way things stand. I
Oh
give you
yeah.
that. That's true.
In the weight class for sure.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
respective weight class. Is
Yeah.
that, Angelo, like the following steps that you wanna pretty much go through? You wanna, pretty much beat Russ first and then eventually move over to the IPF, or will you like do it either way, pretty much?
That's actually that's a good question. It's not so much me beating Russ; it's me beating a number.
Mm,
Like that's what kind of I want to. That's what I think Noriega got cut up in beating Russ.
yeah, yeah.
I don't want to think of like I'm thinking about Russ. I'm thinking about him. I got to beat him. Granted, he's the favorite. He's the top dog. He's the king of the weight class in IPF and the USAPL. He's the guy to beat. But I've still got to think I got to beat a number. If I don't beat a number, that I don't have any business beating the world's best, which is Russ. But I'm not going because I've been in a lot of battles with other lifters,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Yeah.
don't want to overlook them at the same time because I'm like, I have this progress. Why can't they have this progress too?
Hell
And
yeah.
they work as hard as me. They do the right things. They perform well too. Like when I think of Gruden, when I think of Sean Jin, when I think of Noriega, and then a lot of other guys come up, Gerald Scott, Kyle DeLeon. These guys are all dogs. They can increase their total the same way I increase my total. So I'm like, let's increase that total to something that's the unofficial world record and the official world record.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's get that number to that point. I would still have to beat Russ head to head. I would still have to take that number. But yeah, of course, like if I'm a drug tested lifter, one of the things that you want to do is compete in the IPF and go to IPF Worlds. So that'll be at a point, but it's really reliant on if there are going to be assholes and ban me from commentating and doing shit at USAPL meets. If they're
Ah,
gonna do that, then it's
it-
gonna fuck with my entire thing. That's my business. Like that
yeah,
is
yeah,
that's
yeah.
how I make money. It's like I'm not gonna make a ton of money. I'm not even sponsored by SBD. So
Oh shit.
Worlds to me isn't even like I'm sponsored by Stoic. They pay me and they are fantastic with what they provide to me as a company, and I love their stuff. But you know, it's like the incentive to compete at Worlds if you're an SBD athlete is financially good.
Yeah.
But I'm making my own money here. And if the IPF's going to be like, no, we're going to suspend you for a year if you're commentating or you attend this meet, I'll be like, all right, well, unless you guys want to pay me a lot of money, then go
Mhm.
fuck yourself. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna fuck up my business doing that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I guess that pretty much answers what we're gonna what we wanted to ask anyway, whether why you've not chosen IPF over the USAPL. I mean, you know, speaking of that, we have had Bryce Lewis on, and he's pretty much said he's still moving to the IPF, but I think he's very much involved in organizing or I know the streaming even
Mm.
of USAPL, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure you might know better than this to me. So you know, like you, he's got, you know, business with USAPL, but still
Mhm.
managed to sort of like still sort of go back to the IPF. Whereas yourself, you're a commentator. I don't know where I don't know, the crossover might not be eligible for you to be able to compete in IPF and stay as a commentator for USAPL, considering this year alone they had the mega nats during the worlds, right? So that's
Mm.
gonna mess you up if you were to try and do what Bryce did,
Oh
or
yeah.
anyone
I
plans to do.
think just attending the USAPL meet, the banning people for just being in the room watching USAPL lifters, which is so stupid.
I said, well, the reason why I bring it up is because it seemed like coaches were freely going between USAPL and Powerlifting America, which is I don't think supposed to happen. Based
Yeah.
on the rules, I don't think it's supposed to happen, but it seems to freely happen. And if they're going to start coming down, it's like, well, the USAPL to us is still a huge federation. It
Hmm.
brings a lot of money with great competition as well, and it's highly organized, it's highly structured. So if you're going to take that away from us and can't freely hop between the two, that's going to be a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Um, the the thing that recently I'm like, oh shit, are they going to start doing this? Is the Corrupted Summit
Hmm.
that Steve Denovi, Brad Couillard, Derek Akune, and Marcellus Williams put on, where they were telling athletes who were just competing in bullshit exhibition lifts like tandem deadlift, bench for reps, and pause timed squats that they couldn't do the meet, even though it's not a meet, because it it goes against IPF or WADA because it's a WADA suspended organization. It's like it's not a USAPL meet. This is a fucking tandem deadlift.
Yeah.
And if they're going to start doing that bullshit, it's like, well, okay, so what's stopping you from saying I can't commentate or do a live stream or a coach?
Oh shit! I didn't know it was that deep, bruv.
No, I think
I mean, there's
that's
some
what
pettiness involved. Like we're raising our eyebrows quite a bit on 2 Lights because we're like, okay, we saw USAPL refs at Powerlifting American Nationals. You guys didn't say shit then,
Yeah.
but our fucking event that's just trying to make, you know, just trying to help coaches, you know, put on
Hmm.
presentations and spread information out. If you're
I
gonna
think
start,
again,
if you're gonna stop that, it's like
that's really that surprised me because I know they always say in IPF, if you're competing in a meet that is not sanctioned by IPF, you might get banned. I know that's what they always say, but we have got lifters that have done the ABS Pro in Ireland. I don't know if Angela, if you've watched it.
oh, I
you
love
know?
the ABS guys.
Yeah.
Oh, I love them. Love
We
what they're
have
doing.
Yeah, we have the IPF lifters there, but that meet is not sanctioned by IPF or anyone. So people still lift there with people that are really on drugs. So still didn't get banned.
I believe that's because, I mean, again, like Steve's the better person with this. I'm kind of going like based on hearsay.
Hmm.
I believe it's because there's non-WADA suspended people there. That's why they can do it. That's the same rule with the US in the US. So there was meets where there was WADA suspended people. Kamal Browner was probably the biggest one. He
Hmm.
was suspended from the USAPL and the IPF, and it was a WADA violation. So any lifter that was going to compete in the same meet, like Showdown or any of the big untested meets. Like Showdown was the only one that came to mind. Hybrid, they would potentially face a suspension because they're competing with a WADA suspended lifter. We're a WADA suspended federation. So I understand that aspect, but if you're going to start pick and choosing on when you enforce it, you're going to cause just a problem with us.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to do that, you should start enforcing with the coaches. That will be the death of your federation if you start doing that.
Yeah, for real.
You know, like that would screw up your federation completely. And I don't want it to happen, but if you're going to start coming down with a hammer on fucking Corrupted Summit, which is not a USAPL event.
No,
it's nothing. It's friends meeting up for a presentation. Are you going to start banning? Like, if I have a barbecue and I have a fucking bags tournament, and you guys are going to start like, oh, what's this? It's like Angelo Fortino, member of the USAPL, is having a bags tournament with PLA members. We got to clamp down on this. Like, it's equivalent. It's the equivalent. It's non-real powerlifting events.
Man. I mean, like, if I come to Texas, I can't train with you, Angelo.
That's essentially what it is, right?
Yo, that pettiness is kind of unheard of, man. It must be just a US thing. I've never heard that over here.
It could be. It could very well be. I don't know. Like, there was specifics involved, and I'm not going, because again, I don't want to give like any sort of half truths, but the only facts I know, there were certain lifters that were told not to do our events. Wow. Because they might face a federation. Or a suspension, or suspension from the federation.
Damn. I mean, you know, if it's all right with you, because obviously you've mentioned 2 white lights a bunch of times now. I just want to get into that. But one question I did have about it, even before, you know, we started the podcast, was that, you know, you've been podcasting with regards to powerlifting for the past 3 or so years now, right? 2019. Yeah. You know, you've had, you know, a substantial amount of growth, big names in like John Hack, and like, you know, one of the biggest names that you could possibly have in powerlifting. But overall though, like from beginning to now, can you think of things that, I don't know, you would definitely just share with, like, you know, because we just started. So what do you have that you could possibly share to us? Because, you know, we've had King of the Lifts on, so now we have you, 2 white lights himself. Is there anything that you could share?
You're a much better start than I was. That's for damn sure.
What?
Like, yeah.
Come on, bro. That's
legit. You guys are killing it. Because I mean, 2 white lights has had a lot of facelifts throughout the years, because I had a different co-host when I first started, and I was in a different federation. I was in the APF, and we kind of just like started getting into different interests. Robert Bain got into more of the multiply side of powerlifting, and I started to get really deep into the USAPL raw side of powerlifting, and they could not be more opposite.
Yeah.
And we couldn't do the show that I wanted to do because of that. And then I was solo for a long time, and I would just interview people. And I know you guys do like an interview-based podcast. For me, I never really wanted to only focus on that. Because the chemistry isn't going to be there with people you just first meet. Yeah. And it could lead to just non-good content and a boring conversation. But that's kind of what I had to do with 2 white lights, because I didn't have a co-host. Then when I started to get closer with Steve and got him as my co-host, that's when the show really took off, because that was the podcast I wanted to do. Occasional interviews, but we talk just about things in powerlifting. We have segments, and we have different ideas that we can fully go deep on, and we can do research, and we can have our takes, and we can give our true opinions about the lifters of the sport, coaches of the sport, and how the sport is operating. So it's existed since 2019, but up until about 2021 is the actual product of 2 white lights that I wanted. So, I mean, it was, you guys are getting some awesome guests on. It was a struggle for me getting anyone on. Like, I remember I had Heather Connor was probably my first big guest, and I was super fucking nervous because I didn't know her at all. And I'm like, maybe I'm not a good interviewer. I'm just gonna start asking her some weird off the wall shit, and she's gonna get super uncomfortable and just leave. It's like, this guy's a fucking douchebag. I'm getting out of this interview. and it was on FaceTime. It was on FaceTime, and she was frozen.
Mm.
So it was just her smiling the entire time. And I don't like, that's an important thing, like getting the reactions of like your jokes and shit, and like where the conversation's going. And I just have her smiling face the entire time. and then eventually we played Fuck, Marry, Kill, and I'm like, is this gonna just go completely? Am I gonna get canceled right away? Like, what's gonna happen
What
here?
the fuck?
Heather is, a very outgoing person, and she was very cordial as a guest, and she gave me great content.
Mm-hmm.
But it could have. I did not know who I was interviewing. I did not know who I was interviewing. It could be it. So that was to say, you guys are in like a fantastic position, because you guys, one, do the right things. You're having big guests on, and then people are continuously like showing interest in coming back on the show.
Yeah.
Like it took me a quite a bit of time just to get people on the show.
Prior to that though, prior to you having people on, because obviously there's things that, when we discuss with like Ryan from King of the Lifts, we've listened to other powerlifting podcasts, his podcast, your podcast, Chance's podcast even. So we kind of get the gist of how conversation should flow, kind of like sort of like a meandering conversation. Like, is that something that you sort of like took in as well when you started having guests? Like, shit, I might need to listen to how others do it, so that I could, take a few things here and there and then sort of implement my own as I'm having the conversation.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I avoid it because I don't want to ask the same shit. Because, like, I want to be something the most genuine conversations you could possibly have. And that's what I noticed throughout the years is the best podcasts are just ones where I'm not interviewing someone. We're just shooting the shit. Kind of like what we're doing now. It's like, if you're just shooting the shit, having a conversation, that's the best type of podcast, especially with powerlifters. But at the same time, we know that it could easily turn into an interview. And we found that, one, we enjoy it more when Steve and I just talk about things, because who's going to have a better chemistry than me and Steve?
Yeah.
No one. Like, I'm not going to have someone on the show that a person I talk to daily.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. There's more of a chemistry there. Yeah. And
there's one thing as well, to me, on my take on that is, because when the conversation flow, your guest will be more comfortable to say whatever they wanted to say. Because sometimes, like, when you go through that question answer thing, people are not really open. You're getting like closed answers. But when you open, look what we did with Gaston. We opened the platform for him. It was like, look, this is a safe environment for you. You can say whatever you feel. And the man went all out. So you know, sometimes like you need to give people that environment to be themselves. So it's hard. It's not an easy thing. It's very hard for some people, because again, as you said, when you start the podcast in the beginning, sometimes you're thinking, which angle can I take this? And also it depends on the personalities as well. Some people are really quiet. They can't go and get involved in a conversation. So you probably have to go to that question answer just to open them up in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't, and again, like just having guests on, you don't know they're quiet until you get them on the podcast. That's a fucking like hard situation. Like, oh shit, you're quiet. Okay, I didn't know that.
And it kind of
I was just going based off Instagram.
Yeah, I know. It kind of makes you wonder as well. Like, they agreed to come on, so you'd think that there'd be a conversation going, and then they come on, and it's like, anything else?
Everyone's honored to be asked to come on a podcast, and it's always good content. It's good publicity, and especially in this sport, right? Because we're not getting like these offers from a bunch of different networks to come on for interviews and talk shows. So what we have is our podcast or a YouTube channel, and that's really what we have. So it's an honor to always come on, and I went through that throughout the years. Like, okay, you're not much of a talker, but you want to do a podcast. But at the same time, they don't want to pass up an opportunity to be on a podcast, because that means you are acknowledging that they're someone in the sport that's worth talking to.
Yeah,
true. You know what? Because you've been doing this podcast game much longer than Juris and I have, and there's this thing that we want to pick up on with you. Just pick your brains out a little bit, because we've had Bryce Lewis on, we've had Bryce Korchak on, and they came off as the more like pretty much the other end of the spectrum of what we've been getting used to with our other guests, where you know, like Bob Matthews and such people like that, where they want to be in the conversation, they want to be like, you know what, I'm gonna be up there. Like when we had Rondell on, he was name calling out Taylor Atwood like that, and they're not even in the same federation right now,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
I guess my
I
question,
guess it's weird. I don't know.
yeah, I guess my question to you is like, what's like your view, and like, you know, there's people that want to like have that drama, have that fire, like there's that shit talking, and there's the other bits where they're kind of like other lifters, even, you know, in the for individuality's sake, they don't really want to be in that drama, but you can, but like, you know, Bryce Lewis, you cannot put him out of the conversation now that he's gone to 93s. There's every potentiality for him to dominate PA Nats, dominate worlds against the likes of Kaiko and Chance.
Mhm. So what exactly you're asking? Are you asking me like
Like what's I guess what's your preference even? Like do
oh
you like the drama more side, or like the more dramatic side even, or just you know, just getting the information and
well I prefer people who are honest. You know what I mean? Like that is what I prefer as a podcaster. When
Mhm.
people actually want to um pers- uh portray their persona, you know, because Bryce keeps to himself, and I know he keeps to himself, and he does not
Mhm.
try to call out people, and that's a strategy for him, and that's actually who he is. And then at the same time, Bob, Bob training with him like just once, and then hanging out with him for like 2 days. He is the most competitive, most dedicated person I've ever been to. Russ said he was the hardest working powerlifting, head and shoulders above the rest. I don't think he meant Bob at that point. I thought of myself as a hard worker.
Yeah.
Bob makes me look fucking soft.
What?
He is on everything. I like
When you
we're
say
going
on,
up
when you say on everything,
everything. Everything is him focusing on powerlifting,
oh,
on his
okay,
training session.
okay, because
It
that
is
that could be
it's
perceived as like
I don't know.
on.
Oh
Yeah.
no. No. I know, I mean, yeah, if you're a natty powerlifter who's amazing, you're gonna get called out for that stuff. But he
Hell
is
yeah.
on every single aspect of his training. And it's like, because I mean, I guess I'll share the story. It's not too personal information, but Bob was out for the Corrupted Summit,
Mm.
and we went out to eat. And I just drank a beer, and I think we're like 20 minutes into the podcast, so I'm probably gonna need another one soon. We were talking about going out later that night, going out to like a Mexican restaurant, and he's like, "Well, I got to train tomorrow, so I don't want to drink at all." I'm like, "What? Like you're training tomorrow and you don't want to train?" I'm like, I'm training tomorrow at the same time as you. I'm like, I'm gonna have a drink tonight." But he's thinking already about his next session, but then he's thinking about the food too he's gonna eat.
Yeah.
And I just being with him for a little bit, like I can tell everything is focused on him being the best in the world. And of course, you're gonna have that competitive streak. He wants to beat every single person. He doesn't
Yeah.
want to just beat Bob and Ash. He wants to beat Atwood on top of that. He wants to be the best, and you're going to get that. I want to be in the conversation more so
Hmm.
because you work so hard for it.
Hell yeah.
And then you know, same thing with Rondell. Rondell's just a competitive person. And that's truly who they are. So you putting that out there, who you actually are, I prefer just people being genuine. I guess there's a point where it annoys me as far as preference go when people are like, "Hey, can you not talk about me on the podcast?" Be like, "No, what the fuck you talking about? Like, this is my
Yeah.
one. It's my podcast. You're a good lifter. We're gonna talk about your performance. We're gonna talk about who you're up against. We're gonna make graphics about you. Live with it. Sorry, you can hate me, you
I
can
mean,
block me. I
yeah.
don't give a shit. Like, like,
I mean,
like
if they're
we're
on,
trying to give this sport that has no goddamn content. Please let
exactly.
me do that for everyone. It's not about just you. It's about the fans. We actually have fans. Let me give the fans something."
I mean, yeah, if they're on the podcast, they're gonna know they're gonna get asked about them on the podcast.
Well, it's not, but when we do like the previews and the recaps,
Oh, right,
occasionally like
right.
people are listening really closely. If we're gonna say, and if you do poorly, we're gonna have to say something negative. If we think you're not gonna have a good performance, we're gonna have to say it. We're being honest.
Yeah,
We have to
that
do that shit. But Like that's where the preference there is like, please let us do our jobs, even if you are keep to yourself, because we need to give the fans something. If we don't have fans in a sport, you're not going to get any money.
There you go.
You're not going to be able to do the sport for a living.
You said it there. You said it there. Like, it's a sport. Like, every other sport has this type of shit. NBA, NFL, boxing, like UFC. There's gonna be people there like criticizing, going through like the details in depth, like this athlete's performance, so and so. So it's not gonna be any different to our sport, where if someone flops on the bench press, if someone just has a bad game day, what the hell happened there? We want to delve in, just get to know how it's gonna happen. And I kind of get, like, you know, they don't really like being spoken about, but it's gonna happen, man.
But
it's a sport we're
in. I get people, I get where they're coming from in terms of like, oh yeah, don't talk about me because probably I did poorly. You know, sometimes people take things really hard in terms of their mental state. You know, they go there, they do poorly, they're already dealing with it, and then they tune on to, while like media, they listen to Angelo like ripping them apart again, basically adding salt to a wound.
Yeah,
I kind of get that, but at the same time, we're doing a sport where we step on the platform, could be world stage, or you guys in your mega nuts. There, you can't hide anywhere. Do you know what I mean? We don't have the power for that. So whatever we put on that platform is for everybody to see, is for everybody to talk about. The only power we have, potentially, during your training, you can hide your lift because you don't want people to talk about your lift. That's the only power we have. But when you sit on that platform, mate, just perform well. You perform bad, me, right? One thing about me, Angelo, every time I step on an international platform or a national platform, the first thing that comes in my mind, if I fucked up, I need to be able to deal with the consequences. It means when people turn out and say how shit endurance was, how I can't squat, I keep on getting fucking my last attempt always turned down because I can't hit depth with it, I have to deal with it. I can't go and say, Angelo, don't talk about my 302 and the way he crushed me. No. Do you know what I mean? Make sure it doesn't crush you, or make good attempts next time.
And at the same time, it's like a double-edged sword too, because like you are good enough at the sport for people to be talking about you. That is a privilege. The fact that you are good enough for people to potentially critique your performance is a privilege. You getting in the spotlight is a privilege. And it could be something that people were not expecting throughout their powerlifting career. I wasn't expecting it. Like when I first started powerlifting, I just looked at it as something to do on your free time. Yeah. But then it turns into something bigger and you get better at it and more people start talking about it. And it's a good thing because that means you have people who are admiring your work. Yeah. And if you have people who admire your work, you have potentially people who don't like your work and want to see you fail. And that's also a good thing. Anytime you can get that, anytime you can possibly get people like, I don't like Angelo. He bothers me. I don't like how he portrays himself and I don't want him to succeed. It means like, okay, you wouldn't be saying that if I was on a local level my entire life. Yeah. You're saying that because I'm actually at a higher level.
But how do you feel about that? Because I'll tell you how I feel whenever someone, like even in a local level, mentions my name. But how do you feel about that? Like when people are like kind of like wanting your downfall?
Well, people are actually been pretty positive about me. So like I can't. Oh wait, are you guys hearing something different? Tell me. Tell me right now.
Like no.
Who hates me? Who on your shows come on hates me? That the recorded prior and after.
No.
Personally, I haven't gotten to know anyone that doesn't like you. But I'm just saying from my own experience, like if someone was feeling that way.
All I know is people don't hate Angelo, but people are not scared, but more a little bit worried about Angelo's mouth because Angelo doesn't have no filter. I've heard that.
All right. Well, that's not fun. I was talking about my actual like lifting on a plate, because if people are rooting for my downfall, it's possibly another competitor, and that's fair, right? So it's like it's a fair thing to hopefully I don't hit my lifts, so you can win. Yeah, I have no problems with that, but at the same time, if I see people like the recent hate Russ has been getting, and I'm like, fuck, how good do you have to be to people just randomly hate on you? Right? I'm like, I don't know what it feels. Everyone's really nice to me because I'm the underdog.
Everyone picks the underdog more than
Everyone
anyone.
likes the guy, even though I'm probably more of an unlikable person than Russ. Truly. If you talk to me and Russ in person, like, Angelo's kind of a prick. He says some things that are mean. He
Yeah.
says some jokes that he doesn't know the person and he doesn't know if they're okay with jokes. Russ is a very likable dude. I mean, talking to him and spending time with him on just a few occasions, he's a likable guy. And if somebody's like, Angelo's kind of a dick at times, I'll be like, yeah, that's fair. I'm not gonna really. I have a podcast that, you know, I say things that are a bit off the wall, like Jurin said, but like, but I'm the underdog, so like I get away with all this shit right now. But if I was, say, Russ Orhey, and I was actually the top guy, and I say something on Instagram, people are gonna call me a contentious asshole.
Yeah.
But they don't do it as much now because I'm not at that position. So I get to enjoy this little underdog phase, hopefully for 1 year. And then,
Also, so basically, within the year, you're gonna get that title, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, right? Yeah, I would fail if I don't get that title. It's like, well, I just fell short of my goal.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I just realized right now how it is in the powerlifting scene in America. I know there's different federations out there, and when we had Bryce on, he mentioned about depending on where you live, the region where you live, it's going to influence your choice of federation. I think he mentioned about the West Coast more in USPA and Florida sides was PA.
It's kind of getting to PA, but there's still USAPL presence.
Mm-hmm. And then
like,
obviously,
it is a regional thing. It is regional.
Yeah, and obviously the South and Southwest is like very much USAPL stronghold, more or less. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, you know, from state to state, is there someone that's like top dog, and when they get to like the mega nats, it's kind of like, ooh, is there a bit more of a rivalry between state to state? Because I'm just trying to like picture it when it comes to like other countries, right? Because I know here in Britain, there's different areas, and then like we all have our little regionals, and above the regionals, there's what was it again? Our nationals, which is the 4 different countries in Great Britain, and then there's a bit of chat in between. So I don't know if there's some similarities there where, like, you know, someone from like the South and then another person from like probably the East Coast that's, you know, within your federation, is there's like rivalry going on? Is there someone like, you know, wanting a piece of the action too, but they're just not coming up yet? Or I don't know.
It'll be, I mean, it'd actually be pretty cool if it was like that, but it's not, because I know in Europe it's very regional and territorial, even in Italy. Like, just, I mean, not in a powerlifting sense, just being Italian, like,
that's how it is.
Where you're from in Italy, it's like, it's a very prideful thing.
Yeah.
And like I know it's different in America. It's like, you do try to, you know, if you're from a certain state or a city, you know, you have pride in that. But when it comes to like actually competing, it would be great. Potentially people hate Texas because I'm saying potentially because we just constantly say, I mean, I'm not going to say we because I'm a transplant. I'm from Chicago. So that's still my home. My home is Chicago. My home is Illinois. I'm still registered to USAPL Illinois because that's my home. I only lived in Texas for about a year, and Illinois is always going to be my home. But like Texas, we're like, yeah, this is the best powerlifting state easily. We have this massive state. We have these cities that are incredible in powerlifting. Maybe people are like, oh, the Carolinas are better. I know people from the Carolinas have North and South Carolina, really strong lifters. But when we get to nationals, it's just more individual. They want to be individuals. It has nothing to do with regions, nothing to do with teams even. It's more so, I want to beat this individual because I've been chasing them for a long time, or they said something, or there's a certain way that they're posting on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's been situations like that for me where I'm like, I might be in my own head here, but the way that person said, phrase something on their YouTube channel or on Instagram, like, I don't know if that was personal towards me, so there's a little bit added motivation there. But it has nothing to do with regions, which would be cool though. I would like that. Like, that's like in Great Britain and throughout Europe, it sounds kind of cool that that's happening. So I'm a little bit envious of that.
See, I'm glad, I'm happy with your answer, because for me, and I don't know how it's for Durance, but for me personally, I love it all. Like what you just said, like the way someone posted a certain way, that adds fuel to the fire. Like where they're from, saying that, you know, chatting all this shit about we produce better lifters, that's gonna add fuel to the fire to me. So I reckon anything more, it's just that much sweeter when the win comes. Or
I
like,
think with me is like, look, in my weight class, I'm the best in Britain, right? So when I go and compete, I don't care who's been saying what, who's lifting what. I'm the best, and I'll show you I'm the best. I came to win. I don't care what you said, right? I will win, and whatever you said, you have to deal with it yourself. And I'm not even gonna come and tell you what you said this, or you said you're gonna get these numbers. No, I'm just gonna beat you, and that's it, and walk away because I'm the best. So
Yeah.
maybe the only thing I can say to you, mate, I can probably look at you, say, mate, work harder. That's it. That's how I see it.
but you know what's crazy? I'm pretty certain that over there, whoever you're gonna be competing against, you would not really train around with, would you?
Well, I mean,
I know. Well, obviously,
kinda,
you.
because I do train at Russ's gym.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah,
regularly.
Other
But
than
How do
that,
you? So, Angelo, that's the question. That let me just elaborate on that, right? Just add a little bit more on that, because you train at Ross's gym and you're gonna go up against him, and sometimes you look on behind your eye or on the left hand side, you see what Ross is doing. Doesn't it make you feel like, oh fuck, I still got a lot of work to do because this man just squatted 330? Shit.
Well, so that's a good question. I don't know. I don't want to self-deprecate too much, but like,
fuck it, bro. Just say what you want,
I
man.
feel no, I know exactly. I don't want to self-deprecate, but I'm about to. That's usually a signal I'm about to do the thing that I'm gonna say I'm not
Good
trying
man.
to do.
Hell yeah.
Like when I go into Corrupted, which I don't belong to the gym, I just go there occasionally to train because it is a good facility and it's relatively close by to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I have a total good enough for Russ to give a shit about me, like as far as an actual competitor goes. Like he's like, he's a little bit far behind still. Like he's not, on like, and I agree with him. I shouldn't be in the same conversation as Russ unless I total something 835 to 845.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be in the conversation. Like you need
Yeah.
to total something in order to push him. That was Noriega was there at 825 and Russ's best total is 833.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. You're in within the thing. Like Russ has to hit his lifts. If Russ misses 2 lifts, he might lose.
Mm-hmm.
If Russ misses 2 lifts against me, he still probably wins. So I shouldn't be in that conversation. But when I see Russ squat something crazy like 330, I'm like, I'm fucking used to this. Since I started in powerlifting, he's been so much better than me, right? Like he's been better than me since I started. He's both started, I think, 2015, I think he might have started in 2015. I could be wrong about that. And I started in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
He's been better than me by a large margin every single time. So if I see him do something crazy, I'm like, yep. I've seen that about 27 times before. So, and then like, that's another thing. People are like mentioning me in comments like, oh, Angelo's scared right now. I'm like, he out totals me by fucking 25 kilos. No, I'm not scared. I'm like, it's something that I'm used to. I'm used to being out totaled by this guy. It's cool. It's cooler now that people want to put me in the same conversation. So whenever I see Russ doing it, I'm like, awesome, great. And hopefully this leads to just more of a spotlight on me versus him. Like it's kind of an honor to do that. And I hope it actually happens. But like how powerlifting works, right? Is Dwan Garrison puts up an 817.5 total, and now everyone's talking about him. I'm like, all right, I guess I gotta wait another another time until.
I'm so happy that you said that because some way or another I can relate to that. What you just said there in terms of like, I see people coming up to me saying, oh yeah, but this guy has squatted this guy has pulled this much or has benched this much. I'm thinking, yeah, but you're forgetting I'm an international lifter. I've been a world. I've seen people that have pulled 50 kilo more than me. I've seen people that have benched 70 kilo more than me. So I'm not surprised by this person, what they're doing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So
yeah, well, in nationals when Russ, when that was the first time I competed with, in 2021 nationals, the feeling just of competing with them, to me, I know maybe it again sounds a little bit fanboyish, and if you're a high level competitor, you shouldn't do that. But it was like the fact that I was competing with Russ, Sean, Gruden, and Delaney at the same time, and Jamar Royster at the same time at the same competition. I was like, I can't believe I finally got here. Like
Yeah.
I was watching in the stands at prime time, watching all these guys because they were better than me, and they were much better than me, and I actually get to compete with them. And at that meet, Russ opened with my highest squat that I was so proud about. I was so proud of a 297.5 squat, and Russ, I think, opened with something close to that. Like I'm used to Russ doing incredible things, and I saw him throw up 717 like it was nothing. Like, or I think it was 717. Like it was nothing. He threw it up so easily, and I was in the warm-up room being like, all right, that's it. Go home, we're done. Like he's gonna win. Like Noriega missed his second squat, it's over. He went 2 for 3 on squats, it's over, and I told everyone, like, we're all battling for second today. Like, that's what's happening. And that to me was like still this incredible moment of my powerlifting career, even though Russ made my squat look like absolute shit. And like I still got third that day. But like to me, I'm like, I got third. Last nationals, I was in the crowd watching them, and I got 14th. This nationals, I got third. I was ecstatic about that. Like even though that Russ beat me and Delaney beat me that meet too, I was still ecstatic about that. And then on top of that, in this nationals, I love Noriega. He's a very good friend. The fact that I was able to beat him and I got to stand on the higher podium position than Noriega, I'm like, how the fuck did this happen?
Yeah.
How did I get here? How am I looking up to Russ right now? I'm on the same podium as him, and I'm the second place guy.
Yeah.
And it's still, Russ made me look fucking stupid at me. No one was talking about me and Russ because they shouldn't. He was that much better than me. I'm used to it. I'm used to people being better than me.
Okay, so now that you've had a taste, of like being second place, obviously Russ still beat you. You've had that taste of coming second place. I mean, Durant's here. He's had his fair share of coming second.
Can I say something really quick? Durance, can I ask you a question? Durance, how does it feel that you got second at Worlds and then people are talking about the third place guy more than you and how he had a better meet?
Mate, okay.
Well, that to me was driving me. It was driving me fucking crazy. Just as a competitor, I'm like, this dude had the better total, and no one's talking about him, and they're talking about the guy's third pole, the potential he can do. I love you, Ina. You're my favorite. I love you. You're such a good guy. But still, the coverage of this, I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Why are we not talking about second place as opposed to third place?
I think it's about the name and the amount of fans people have. That's how I put it down to. Again, right, Angelo, in terms of like, not about the strength, not about the performance itself. Me, how I feel about it, I look at myself, I think, Anna is a bigger name than me in IPF because he has good fans, right? And then he's the last person to come out to pool. So he has earned that. That's where I am. He has earned that, and I have not earned that yet, But in terms of performance as well, because the sport we do, I see it as I perform well, I come second in the world. That is for me and my family. And then what does the fan need is someone to come out and pull 385 kilo attempt. That's what the fan want, and they would not talk about. That's how I feel about it. But the other things about coming second, me coming second in the world, Angela, anyone that was with me at the back, you can even ask Chance. I was more proud of my deadlift than me getting gold on the squat or silver overall. Really? People ask me, why you're so more proud of your deadlift? I said, because I came to world against some of the best pullers in the world. I can't deadlift. I came to world against some of the best pullers in the world, and I came out with a bronze medal on the deadlift. Prof, isn't that not nuts when you think about people pulling 330, 340, 350, and me with my 320, I go, come on, bronze. Do you know what I mean? To me, I didn't, I mean, if you ask, I didn't really care much about that silver I got overall, because I came to world not even thinking I'm going to get top 3, right? Because no one was talking about me getting top 3, People were talking about...
I think I had you second or the third.
Yeah, I think you had me third.
Second.
Yeah, you had me third and team second, which is like, Tim deserved to be mentioned as potentially winning or coming second to Delaney. And then Delaney deserved to be mentioned as winning because he's the one that took the 825 or 22 and a half, something like that. So they deserve that conversation. That's why when you said about Russ, look, he's a tremendous lifter, right? Whatever he does, nothing surprises you. He's like me. All of them are tremendous lifters. Whatever they could have done a world, nothing would have surprised me. I was celebrating while Enna was attempting the 385. I was like, mate, you got to get this. And the British team said, bro, what the fuck is wrong with you? If you pulled it, you go third. I said, I don't give a fuck. Do you know what I mean? He deserved it.
Man, you're a bigger man than me. Because, like, just in that situation, because whenever somebody talks to me about, like, someone taking my deadlift record, I'm like, what's their total? If their total is much less than mine, I don't give a fuck. I'm like, honestly, like, if their total is better than me, I'm like, okay, then I care because I don't want to get out totaled by them. But, like, that's what I mean, because when I look at your shoes, I'm like, you had the better total. I understand what it's like to be in a situation where I get more clout or more, talk about because of a deadlift. People love the deadlift. People love that lift. People just look at it. They are amazed by it. It's the last lift till you get that last you get the last thing that people see before they leave the door. Like, so I understand it completely, but I'm just like, what like, I want to know what you think about it, because I would be more pissed off with people talking about someone who's getting third and having a better meet than me when I got second and had a better meet and it was a better total lifter. And I guess Ina doesn't lean into the deadlift specialist thing too much, because there's people like my almost biggest hated thing in powerlifting is the deadlift specialist, the person who sucks at 2/3 of the sport of powerlifting, and they really work on the deadlift because they know that's where the clout is. Ina doesn't do that. He has aspirations to be a world champion, which shows that he's trying to improve the other two lifts. But it's still like a point to, and I understand like sometimes getting a little bit overrated because you're deadlift, because there was a lot of point where people were putting me in the same conversations as like Nori, Russ, and all these other people. I'm like, I'm seventh. Like, I'm seventh in the world right now, or seventh in the USAPL when I pulled 750. That was the former world record, or the unofficial world record. I'm like, I don't know if I should be in the same conversation as these people. I have a bigger pull than them, but what does a bigger pull mean?
Yeah.
As a, like, just aside from losing.
I think big deadlifts now. What's your take on it when people say the bigger puller has the answers to a competition, or he's the one that hold the key? I believe my take on it is bigger deadlifts do not win you championship anymore. That's my take on it. So what do you think?
Ina is the only guy that I think potentially can get into a position here. I think, again, we look at IPF Worlds. He was pulling that to total 802, 803,
05, I think
805.
05, yeah.
Okay, so you're still about almost 40 kilos away from the actual world record.
Yeah.
So if you take that, and I know people shouldn't do this, but you take that into consideration with USAPL Mega Nationals, 805 total would have got you fourth.
Yeah.
Or fifth, would have got you fifth.
Yeah.
I don't think someone could go against Russ and just have a deadlift and beat him. But potentially someone like me or Gruden or Delaney, you can go with a big deadlift and potentially beat us if you load something stupid on the bar. But you have to be well-rounded. Like Chance, I think, was mentioning me in comments, like the big deadlifter doesn't win. I'm like, Chance, you're no longer just a deadlift guy. You're a well-rounded, fantastic lifter. Your squat progress has been unbelievable, and he out-squatted Keiko. He was better than Keiko in 2 to 3 lifts.
Yeah.
So you're no longer the deadlift guy. Ina is the deadlift guy.
Yeah, he's the only one I think I could say.
He's so behind, and then he can put himself into podium position. Like me, I would be in 5th or 6th if I was still doing the things that I was doing in 2019 or 2020, because my squat wouldn't have improved. The reason why I'm in a position now of top 3 and like top 5 in the world is because my squat has improved tremendously. And even though my bench has not been on par with all the other 82s and 83s in the world, it improved, I think, 10 kilos still. So well-rounded lifters, you're still gonna have to, you're gonna have to be well-rounded to still be one of the best in the world or the best in the world. And I think Ina knows that, and he knows he has to improve his squat and he has to improve his bench in order to get there. Because I'm telling you, Ina, if you're holding on a 900-pound deadlift to pull you into first, it's not gonna happen. if we're hoping on it, it's just to improve that squat.
Going back to like what you just said there, like if Ina tried to do, bank on his deadlift against someone like yourself, someone like Russ, and it won't work. Do you reckon it will work on someone like Durance? Because they're going to go head to head in Euros in a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Do you reckon it will work on Durance then?
Ina's deadlift is hard to calculate.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's good for. I mean, I just said something that could actually later be a cold take, which is Ina won't pull 900 pounds and win a competition. Sometimes I think he can just pull 900 pounds because he just got that deadlift from he pulled it, and I don't know how, because of his leverage is so ridiculous. I don't know where to put his deadlift, but I would bet on Durance because of he doesn't have to rely on one lift.
Yeah.
When you don't have to rely on one lift, it makes competitions a lot easier for you. And it's the beauty and the burden of being the deadlift specialist. You get to put yourself in position with that third pull to possibly win. But I've been at the other end of it where your deadlift isn't there on today and you lose to John Gruden, who is the ultimate subtotal guy, which happened to me at the Arnold. I didn't have to pull that much to win. I had to pull 771, which is a weight I pulled before, and I couldn't pull it because my deadlift wasn't on.
Oh.
And Gruden, with his squat and bench, beat me.
Well,
because
I don't know if Ina is going to be going for that 900-pound pull. But he's been.
I don't know what he's gonna pull.
He's been like when we had him on, and whenever I've spoken to him, he's mentioning things like 399 kilos, right? Which is
It's close to 9.
I think it's 880.
880, yeah.
Yeah, 880.
The thing is, what this to me personally, this is where I put it. If I go 999, and he will probably need that 880. He will probably need that.
Bro, that's what he's telling me. He's telling me I need to put Durance in a position for him to slap on that 880 pounds or that 399 kilos.
So I have to go 999 for him to do that. Because he will need it. He will need it. Because if I go 999, I'm a subtotal guy. If I go 999, he will need that 399 or 385. Because the thing is, the concept is, even if, you mentioned it, Angelo, even if he put the 385 kilo at world, that would get him 805.
805.
And if I go 999 with the prediction I have in my head, he can't beat me for that. So he would need more than that.
Yeah, I would agree. Like that, if you're looking at his top end total wise, which again, I don't think he's a very hard person to predict. You're 6 weeks out, right?
I think, yeah.
6 weeks out from Euros. So yeah, I guess 2 weeks out, you can kind of tell where it was safe to put someone. His deadlift obviously peaks very well. He's that lifter, but you could kind of predict his squat and bench.
Yeah.
To an extent. So if you don't see incredible improvements, okay, you have to rely on an 850-pound total or 850-pound pull. That's hard to bank on considering the record is 799.
Yeah. Angelo, how, I don't know if you've heard Enno mention this, but he's been saying how his goal in mind is obviously take the world record, the IPF world record away from Russ, and then hopefully lure him back into the IPF. Should that happen, I don't know what the likelihood of that happening is, but should that happen, hypothetically, and given at the time also you haven't beaten Russ yet, should Russ be lured back to the IPF, would you follow suit?
It would be reliant on if the IPF starts to fuck with my business. If the IPF starts to fuck with my business, we have some problems. That's my money. I need money. I like it. It's good. My family enjoys it. My girlfriend enjoys money. I need this. If you're gonna start fucking with it, then we're gonna have some problems.
Cigars are not cheap.
Yeah, they're not. And I don't even have the expensive ones. You know, I have the cheap
Exactly.
shit. I want to start smoking the expensive ones. So and also just the content wise on 2Y lights, like we do value that quite a lot, but it's yeah, following kind of where the best goes. Yeah, I would definitely follow suit. I'm not gonna start chasing Russ though. I'm just not
Mm,
gonna do it. Like it's not. I am not going to go to the IPF to trace Russ.
yeah.
It's weird. I don't want to get into the rut of trying to beat one lifter.
Okay.
I want if I could beat him in head-to-head competition, that'd be fantastic. But I'm not ever only thinking about Russ because I'm in a position now. Russ has to think about like the second place guy. He has to think about Nori because that's all he could really think about because
But
no one else is really threatening him.
I thought Nori's gone up.
Oh no, he's gone up, but just in that context,
Oh, okay,
like
okay,
last
okay.
year.
All
So
right, yeah.
last year, even though I was kind of proud because I don't know, inside baseball here, Russ has videos like in Corrupted of like other lifters, and it
Oh
was of
shit.
Nori's YouTube and his like performances, and somebody put me on the playlist, I think, and
Yeah.
my performance, and I'm like, oh shit, that's kind of cool. Maybe he does think of me as an actual competitor.
Yeah.
But it
Yo,
was
that's
cool.
that's kind of mad. So he's just
Yeah,
like
it was.
watching you while
Yeah,
he's training.
it's kind of, and again, like it's kind of badass
It
because
is.
going into the
But
environment of Corrupted was cool. Like he was watching to kind of psych himself up and to kind of psych up the people like in the gym, like Nori videos, Candido videos, because Candido talked a bunch of shit going into
yeah,
Nationals
yeah.
2021.
Mm-hmm.
And then my videos are posted too. I'm like, that's kind of cool. I'm like,
You
am
know,
I actually considered here? I'm like, that's pretty sweet. But
talking about Candido there, right? I mean, I didn't know who he was. I literally genuinely didn't know who he was. You know, and even I was with Ryan in King of the Lift, and he was asking something about Candido, what Candido say in some of the video. I was like, who is that? I didn't know who he was at all until I literally went on YouTube and I started watching him, right?
yeah,
So he
it's
has
a
got some.
generational thing too at times. Because I mean, it took me a while to get Candido's influence on powerlifting, but if it wasn't for Candido and his contributions to raw powerlifting, I don't think we would have the platform as we do now.
Mm.
The thing is, again, I'm an old man, right? I'm 34 years old and I started powerlifting at 28. So you mean I didn't have time to start scrolling the internet to find out who's who. So talking about that, right? My question is, you know, some people like this is not a shade on Candido or anything, because the man has got a lot of opinion on his YouTube channels and on social media. So if those type of people that have got these opinions, did they actually bother you as a lifter?
It's a good question. I think it does to an extent. I think it's natural because if they personally start saying things that you're going to lose, it adds that motivation. Now, if it's going to make me angry, unless it's something personally attacking me, I don't think it'll ever make me angry.
Mm-hmm. Of course. It
You know what I
shouldn't.
mean? I think Russ looked at it and he came onto my life and talked about with Candido saying like Sean will beat Russ. He was like, it's really putting me out there, like as far as it's more, he took it more personal because his name was mentioned. It didn't say Sean will win nationals, it was Sean will beat Russ. So then he's like, okay, well, gloves are off now. He was getting into that motive, you know, that competition spirit. I understand that. I don't know, I'm trying to think of a point where it gets me to a point where I'm actually angry,
But
where I'm
because
pissed off.
Sean will be Russ. Did Russ took his personal because it came from Candido, or is it because if it comes from anyone else, would he take it like that?
Well, I mean, yeah. He's probably used to everyone saying that shit because, I mean, if you go on 2WL's page and looking at the graphic we posted with Russ and Nori, there was a ton of people still thinking Nori, myself included, that Nori would win. But I mean, yeah, it was definitely because Candido has this incredible influence, and a lot of people are on his page. A lot of people are on his, Instagram. So yeah, like he would be a little bit more livid because that's a person he knows that has a lot of influence saying that stuff, and that's really bold because people with a lot of influence try to keep their opinions like harnessed a little bit. So when you put that out there, it's either trying to say something and you're really confident about it. Like the mind wanders when you get that, right? The mind starts to go. So maybe there's the aspect of that. But I mean, short story about like 2 white lights, I predicted Sean to win. And Russ didn't, get on the story and, say I was livid at this. He gave me a few like, man, really? Really? You think Sean's going to win? And I'm sitting, he's like, all right. And I'm like, he's like, your bowls are coming in corrupted after saying that. And I was like, yo, listen, I'm like, hope you guys both suck so I could win. I hope I'm still competing. So like, I really don't give, I have 2 white lights as far as content goes, and other weight classes, my takes, I hold a little bit closer. Like this one, it's my weight class I'm competing in. I could give a fuck what you two do. Like, I'm being totally honest. Like, if Nori wins and I get third, I'm not going to be like, yeah, awesome. My take was right. I'm going to be like, I'm third again. Fuck. Like, I don't care that much about it. But even on the platform, he's like, he looked at me. He's like, man, really? You thought Nori's going to win because of the cigar? He's smoking cigars now. Want to get a drink with you? You think he's going to win now? I'm like, all right. But he wasn't clearly as mad as, because I was more appropriate, I think, with it. Even though I'm not saying that Candido was malicious, because I think that'll be a little bit far-fetched saying he's malicious by saying Nori will beat Russ. But I was more, I think, sports journalist kind of way in describing why. I guess it was, and he's like, and he possibly looks at like, oh, he was giving his takes and his opinions out there and wasn't being a dick about it.
I guess it just came in terms of like the delivery and the context that you put out, I guess. But you mentioned like the separation between your personal page and your performance at Nats, and obviously 2 white lights. I want to ask first, like, do you sort of like keep the 2 entities separate as much as possible? Because I mean, I can't help but mention, but there is a discrepancy between your personal following and the following of 2 white lights. We see it as well. There's a huge discrepancy between the host's personal following and the following of the podcast itself. So I guess my question to that is, first of all, what do you think about it? Like the fact that, was there a time when you thought it should be more or less the same because 2 white lights is you? Or were you sort of like, that's expected because it's 2 different mediums per se?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's increasingly more difficult to separate the 2, and I want to separate the 2. I want 2 white lights to be its own entity where we speak freely about events in powerlifting, where we give our predictions out, but we're at a point in the sport where we don't have journalists dedicated to the sport, or we have retired people in the sport being able to give their analysis, right? Like, you look at any professional sports, they have some former player talking about it, and then they have their other journalist analysis in there. We don't have that in powerlifting. We need current powerlifters to do this. And it's not going to be the opposite for a very long time. And for me, like, when I talk about which is usually the spotlight of Raw Nationals, the 83.5 kilo or 82.5 kilo weight class, it's kind of awkward for me to be in a situation where I have to talk about myself, because one, as an athlete, I don't want to tell people that I'm either going to beat them or lose to them. It's just not a good strategy, and it's also weird. It's just a very weird wall that I try to put up. And I don't want the spotlight. I don't want, and also putting 2 white lights and like having 2 white lights and like, all right, I'm going to make a spotlight about me. No, I made 2 white lights to spotlight other lifters. I made 2 white lights to spotlight other people where I could talk about them a little bit more. So there is a weird thing. It does add an element of legitimacy to it though, because like other lifters, like the 74 and 75 kilo weight class, the weight class I like to pick on quite a bit. If your name's not Taylor Atwood or Austin Perkins, and I say something that you're not going to do well in power, and they are quick to start yapping. When I say you're going to suck at nationals or like your lifts are not to depth, they're quick. They don't say it with me because I'm like, yeah, I'll show you a thing or two about depth or how to lock out a deadlift, because I'm like, I actually know how to do it, and you guys know I know how to do it. And I'm like, and also your ass should probably be in 82.5 kilos, but you're too scared because you're too, you because your total won't be as good. So it adds that like they won't come after us as much. Like, man, these guys are overlooking me. It's like Angelo doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, they don't say that as much, and I think it's because I'm a better lifter than them. So it actually helps. It actually helps in that circumstance. But at the same time, I don't know if I want it to. You know, it's weird because I don't know if I want it to work in that sense, because I want it to be something where I want people to not like what we say if it goes against their opinion.
Yeah,
that's the discourse and the conversation is so important in professional sports and journalism that I want people to actually put that up. I don't want to always be like, well, Angelo is good, so I don't want to say shit to him because he's a good lifter. Like, okay, that kind of ruins it. That kind of ruins the image or the intent behind 2 White Lights.
Yeah.
What you just said, right there, like, you don't want people to like what you're saying because go against their opinion. I get what you mean, but at the same time as well, you don't want unnecessary drama, because some people, they might come to your portal because you are 82 and a half, they're 82 and a half as well. They want to bring their name close to you, thinking they can compete against you. But at the same time, I get people like that on social media, get people messaging me saying, oh yeah, I'm coming for your numbers. I'll be like, mate, you're squatting 240. I'm squatting almost 300 kilos. That's kind of like a fucking monkey trying to touch the moon.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not going to happen, you know? So before you talk about me that you're coming against me or you're coming for me, I got 788 best total, right? Get yourself to 770 at least and then start talking. You can't talk when you're like barely 700 kilos. So basically that's where my point is. It's always been. You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, in my weight class for sure. Like, I mean, there's been isolated incidents where that happened, but I don't know about you, as far as like being public about it, but I'm a dick about it. I'm very public. I'm like, if someone mentions me and say that they're gonna beat me, I'm like, I'm leaning into this one. Russ does a very good job of not giving anyone unnecessary clout. He's very good about that. I actually respect him quite a bit for that. If someone says he's like they're coming for him, like with the Joan Garrison situation, he has not said a thing, and it takes probably some restraints, but also a level of maturity that's kind of admirable.
Yeah.
For me, if someone says, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna blast this fucking jabroni on 2 White Lights, and or on my own, actually not on 2 White Lights, on my own Instagram page, gonna blast this fucking jabroni, and then get like actually show the open powerlifting numbers, tell about the lifts. I mean, it has happened to an extent, but like I don't think 2 White Lights ever got like in the way of that, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like it's just, but it's hard for me not to voice their opinions. That's why I like coming on podcasts. Like I actually get to give my opinions on my own weight class and myself better than I do on 2 White Lights, because I do have like takes out like I'm like, man, can't get this out there on 2 White Lights because then it turns into me talking about myself.
Yeah.
And it happens on occasion. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah. I mean, we're more than happy for you to do that on this podcast for sure when we post it.
Yeah, but don't be a dick about it and be arrogant about it. I know you're good. You're second in the USAPL, but you're not that good. All right? So.
Well, what do you mean that? Well, what do you mean that good?
You're not that good. You're good. You're second in USAPL. You only came second because you're lucky that Sean Noriega fucked up. That's it. So don't talk about it too much.
Well, I mean, at the same time, like he's done that at every meet and no one has ever beat him. I'm the fucking guy who's done that. He's fucked up at every nationals and I was the one to actually do it. Like I was actually one to capitalize on Sean's mistakes. Who else is able to do that? No one. Aside from Delaney, but he didn't complete the meets. I mean, I'm 2-0 against Sean, technically speaking. 2-0. Whenever we face each other head to head, I was able to get that out there and actually win. Delaney had it the first time, but this time Sean put in a full performance, and no one else in the 83s and 82.5s were able to beat him. And I was the guy who was able to beat him by a half a fucking kilo.
So let me that hurt. That will hurt me for the rest of my life.
Half a kilo. I love it.
To me. I mean, let me follow up a question today again about Sean. Right? Is he a mental state thing? Because when you watch Sean training, well, I've always said is one of the best lifters in the world. We can't take that away from him, right? He's strong as fuck, right? If you're talking about Ross now, we probably want to talk. If you watch Sean training, you probably say he's the second best 83 or 82.5 in the world. I know you are. Technically, you are, right? On paper, you are. Angelo, you are, because you beat him. But
yeah, but at the same time, I'm gonna go and like, just so many people who be second in the world right now. That's why when I talk about Russ, there's so many people who could just be me. Nori, Gruden, Delaney, even though Delaney at 825, and I know he can't hit it, and that's what the conversation should have been, but he wasn't at Raw Nationals. I'm like, if he was in the States competing against USAPL lifters at Mega Nationals, I'd be like, I'm going to make a graphic about him and Russ, not Nori and Russ, because Delaney put 825 at a national stage. So I could consider him to be second in the world, myself, Gruden, Nori. So on any given
hold on, guys. I don't know why you guys talking so much shit. I am second in the world. What are you talking about?
Good point.
That's why I was side-eyeing so hard.
Come to the USAPL Pro Series, because you can, and you can be in a position where you get that clout and are able to be in a position where you're going against Russ, me, Noriega, Gruden, but it's too late now.
Even if
able to do that,
even if I
you
come,
could have been in that position.
Mate, even if I come, I'm gonna pull out the second card. I will say I'm 34 years old. All of you guys are young. Fuck you lot. So
I'm 29. I'm 29. Don't even.
Bro. You know.
Don't even. And you're a young 34. You're a young 34. I'm 29 years old. I'm a fucking geezer compared to these younger guys. What were you saying, Jurens? I don't know.
So what I'm saying with Sean, is he a mental state thing? Because in terms of every time we end up doing these big nationals or big competition, right? The man just grumbles.
I'm not going to say it's a mental state thing, because honestly, because you don't know what's going on in someone's head. You know what I mean? You just don't know. I hate when people tell me that too. They're like, I think it's mentally your squat or your bench. That's why you're messing up. You don't know what's going on in my fucking head. I'm like, as soon as I get that weight, I'm not lacking confidence. I think it's light. When I had 175 on the bar once, I'm like, I thought that shit was light. I think it's just a technical thing. I don't think it's mental. I was confident going into it. I don't know about Nori. I don't know what's going on in his head. I think it's his lifting leads to potential problems on the platform, just the way he lifts on all of his lifts. I see parts that there's aspects of all of his lifts that's going to be hard to execute on the platform. He's got to have a perfect day, and it's hard to be perfect in any sport. It's really, really hard to do that. It's hard to fight the perfect fight. It's hard to throw a perfect game. It's hard to have a perfect game or a perfect performance as a quarterback in the NFL. Sometimes that's what you need to win. And it's hard to rely on that. His squat really, really wide. He has to get a little bit lower on meet day. Sometimes that rebound strength doesn't seem to be there. His bench press, he's the poster boy of this super high arch bench press. The press command has to be perfect, and his execution has to be perfect. His leg drive has to be perfect. If there's adverse conditions on the platform, he's got to be able to work around that. It's hard to do. His deadlift is so explosive. At times when he locks out, it's so explosive. I can see him knocking the bar out of his hand, potentially on meet day. Can he rely on a big pull to beat Russ? There's all those things. And then you look at the flip side, which is Russ. He's not as extreme with his lifting. His squat is a standard squat. His depth problem is no longer there. I've trained with him. He buries the shit out of his squats now. It's not going to be a problem anymore. 2019 Nationals, totally different story. It was high. This Nationals and the Worlds after that, he's figured it out. His bench press is a standard bench press. He pulls conventionally. He can use his muscles to pull. He doesn't have to rely on so many variables. Talking to Nori before and after meets, his mental state is there. I've seen worse lifters on meet day, lifters who just complete they're cool, calm, collected day before on meet day. I'm like, yo, shit seems to be off with you. Like you're just, and they do well still. They're just a nervous fucking wreck, or they're anxious, or it's hard to describe it. But there's lifters where I'm like, you're a different person. Nori really isn't. I would like to break this thing that he is a different like type of person on meet day. He was in a Versace fucking robe.
I saw that. I was like,
shit,
damn.
Cool as can be, laughing up. Even at 2021 Nationals, he was laughing up with us in the the weigh-ins. We were shooting the shit. Everyone was cool. I didn't foresee his mental state being a problem. But I could kind of look at his list and be like, his list could potentially be hard on the platform to execute. That's the goal with my liftings, not to be hard to execute certain lifts on a platform. Have a certain undeniability with the way I lift, and it's similar to Russ, where my squat is my squat. It's a standard squat. There's nothing extreme about it. My bench press is my bench press. There's nothing extreme about it. My deadlift is extreme in the other way, where I'm actually making it harder for me to execute it by making it narrow.
Yeah.
But it's not like this thing where like I'm super wide. Maybe I can hold on to it. Maybe I can't. Maybe I can keep my balance. Like, no, it's a muscled up deadlift at times. So it's just a different way people lift, and I think that contributes to why he isn't able to put his best foot forward on the platform.
I mean, now he's gone to 93, so I wish
90.
him the best. So 90. So hopefully we can actually see the real Sean now. Because probably as 82.5, he was cutting as well, isn't it? Probably 2 kilos or 2, 3.
It wasn't too extreme. It's actually, I'm very curious to see if he sticks with it. I am curious because he's not a prototypical 90. He doesn't look like that. Again, I know this podcast, I brought up his name a lot, but Russ Orhe, he's big. But is able to make that weight cut and make it work. But if I was going to compare the two, I'll be like, yeah, Russ could be the guy at 90 and Nori should still be at 82 just based on how they look and how they actually weigh. But it's crazy.
Russ looks always, I mean, you look at, I mean, fair enough, we don't see Russ every single day in the UK or whatever, but you see him on the social media. If you tell he's every time, I mean, fun enough, before World 2019 or World 2018, and I was showing my family a picture of Russ. I said, this is the guy I'm going up against. And one of my brothers said to me, so why are you going up against people that are 20, 30 kilos heavier than you? I was like, it's not 20, 30 kilos heavier than me. It's my weight. I was like, bullshit. No way. This guy is like 110 kilos. You know what I mean? Because the way you look, you look jacked and all that, all of that stuff. So that makes sense. I mean, my question, Angelo, I'll bring you back to the squat you said. I have an issue with my third attempt because you're probably seeing it across the board. Everyone talk about how I miss my third attempt always on depth, because people always say, you squat normal. When you get to that third attempt, you tempo, you go slow. Why don't you go just fast? I don't know why it is in my head. I can't explain that. Only myself I can explain sometime. But what's your take on a slow squat?
It's always going to be preference, right? So however lifter is able to keep positioning, that's what they should stick with. For me personally, a tempo squat going down into the hole is the way I can keep my positioning strong. It actually helps me feel my depth out. It feels when I should come up, when the exact time is. The time that I go down really fast on my squat is when I lose positioning and my squat starts to go a little bit over midfoot onto my toes, and it causes me to use more upper back strength. And there's going to be a point where I can't use upper back strength anymore. There's going to be a weight where I can't use it. So I'm not going to say like everyone should slow their squat down. I'm saying you should find how you were able to keep your positioning. And just because your squat doesn't look fast doesn't mean you should change how you squat. You should be able to continue to find your positioning at a point that is yielding successful squats. Like that's that. I guess that'll be my take on it.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I always think, right? I know my openers always look down, go fast down, because open is nothing, right? To me, my openers, I can hit it for 5-6 reps, right? That's nothing. So when you get to that last attempt, especially I think especially when you hit to like a 300 on 302 kilo on your back, and you're just thinking, if I go, this is what I always think, if I go too fast, I will lose my tightness and position, and I don't want to grind this, because people always say, like, yeah, but you can grind it up. Not everybody can grind shit. You know what I mean? I don't have that patience to grind stuff. I've never grinded shit. So I don't want to put my position in a point where I'm grinding it. So that's why probably I'm thinking, go slow, control it, go down. If you hit depth, you come back up. But unfortunately, I've been unsuccessful on that. Probably something I should work on. So that's my take on it. It's just thinking, if I go fast, I'll lose it. And then because I can't grind, that's why I don't go fast.
Yeah, but then like you take it to Nori, who dives down a squat. I'm not looking at Nori. I'm like, he should slow down a squat. I'm like, I don't know if he should be because of how wide he is, you know, and how he braces. Like, I'm like, I don't know if I'm not. I am a person who's pretty inept when it comes to like coaching. Like, I don't know biomechanics, all that stuff, and how certain techniques yield the best results from certain lifters. But I'm looking at Nori. I'm like, if I saw him tempo a squat, it would be maybe disadvantageous for him because of how wide he is. So
yeah, it's detrimental. But I was gonna move the conversation real quick to the USAPL thing and what you mentioned with the Durance potentially coming over to give it a go against you guys. When we had Bryce on, he mentioned about USAPL open up in Ireland, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think they're starting to get. I mean, I don't know if there's anything official yet, but I know they're spreading out. They're branching.
Yeah, with your with your bag, of their potentially USAPL expanding to other countries, that means you're gonna be potentially up for the commentating role should it expand enough for there to be a USAPL World Championship, if that makes sense.
Well, so what exactly is the question?
The question is like, potentially you don't even have to move to IPF should the expansion be that good.
Well, okay, potentially, absolutely. You were right about that.
The caveat could probably be the branding.
So here's the thing. All right. So I just wanted to clear the question up before because I was thinking you were on where I was about to say, but wanted to make sure before I gave you an answer that made no sense. My hope, my prayer for the USAPL or powerlifting in general is to create a professional organization for powerlifters where it is a known organization where IPF Worlds and your nationals and all that kind of goes away and it turns into a professional powerlifting league, very similar to how individual sports work, where you have, say, in tennis, the US Open and the Australian Open. And then golf, you have, you're traveling all around, but you're still under the PGA Tour. Yeah. You're still under this like point system. I know Formula One is opened up to that. And I think you can go and use a lot of other examples like professional soccer too. There's so many leagues going into other, and then they all kind of meet up for the Champions League or something like that to me. And you can open up to like the World Cup, where I want the World's Championships to be a team event more so than an individual thing, where it's the point of Worlds is to be representing your country to win best country, not so much best lifter. So that's kind of my hope for it and because professional sports work throughout history, they just do. And if it's say USAPL and that's the actual league, that international lifters would want to go do the championship in America, like the NBA or Major League Baseball, where they have international people, and it's no longer like USAPL Korea. It's more, you're just in the USAPL. But when we have our championship in Columbus, Ohio at the Arnold Sports Festival, you're going to be invited. You're going to, you have the amount of points needed to face the top guys in the federation. Same thing with the females. That's my hope, is to get something similar to a professional sports organization, not to reinvent ourselves as the IPF and not try to beat the IPF at their own game. That to me is going to fail, because if you start creating the identity as the IPF, it's like, why don't I just go to the IPF because they have shit figured out and they have everything kind of done for me. Same thing on the US side. It's like, if you're an IPF lifter and they try to create something like a pro series, like, why don't I just do the American meets and have that and just go and do that instead? It's like, you got to know what your strength is. Right now, the USAPL strength is they have a really good federation in America. Lean into that. Make that product better. And the IPF, make your international product better.
Yeah.
And try to, don't try to like really try to make your weaknesses your strengths.
Okay.
Try to continue to make your strengths something.
All right. So let me just sum it up a little bit from what I've just heard. So as it is right now, you kind of want the USAPL to just lean into what they're good at, which is where they are in US. Yes?
Yeah, but I don't mind the branching out to other internet, because you still need that. You still need to get people into the USAPL through other countries.
Yeah.
I just don't want them to try to create a world championship and try to make the IPF the USAPL, or just try to make the USAPL the IPF.
But then again, Angelo,
it doesn't work for me.
When you say that you want them to branch out to other nations, right? Which makes sense. That makes sense what you said. But to me, I think I said this on the King of the Lift as well, is the naming, right? Because you can't.
Yes,
again, I think I mentioned this in the King of the Lift. I said, look, we are not in the 1900s here when you had the Europeans calling all the African countries their name first. Do you know what I mean? We're not there anymore. So I mean, the time has passed. So if you want to branch out, call it something else. You can't have like a USAPL China, USAPL UK. What the fuck is that?
That's the funniest thing about it to me. It's like, we're just sitting there like USAPL Korea. That makes no fucking sense. Like, the federational name, it sounds stupid. But yeah, but I don't know. I might be disagreeing with you in a sense where it should be called USAPL. Like, the NBA is the NBA, National Basketball Association, and people internationally come to the NBA to play, even though there's a team in Canada. But it's still it's represented by America. It's like the USAPL in Australia is the USAPL, not USAPL Australia. Like, that to me makes no fucking sense. It should all be USAPL. Like, USAPL in Ireland is simply called USAPL, not USAPL Ireland. Because I mean, just from me saying it sounds stupid.
It does.
That's my problem with it. It just sounds very stupid to call something USAPL Ireland.
Just imagine like you go USAPL Ghana or USAPL Nigeria. What the fuck?
Yeah, to say the US. I mean, if a professional sports organization is there in those countries, that means something. Like, if the NBA is holding tryouts in Europe, holy shit, that's the NBA logo.
Yeah.
Like, if you're in Italy, in Italy they have, I think they have, similar to soccer is Serie A, but if you see the NBA there, they have their basketball teams in Serie A, but if you see the NBA logo, we're holding logo, holy shit, the NBA is taking people from Italy into their organization. You should create a product that makes people want to go into your organization, not creating another IPF is going to put powerlifting back a lot of years, and it's something we don't need. We need more unification, and I know this messy situation between the USAPL and IPF has virtually made that impossible, but we do need more of that unification. But for me, my vision for powerlifting was less of the Olympics and more of a organized sports organization where the Olympics could potentially be in its future, the other sports. I mean,
but it's all about, if you organize yourself, as you said there, that's when other doors are open, isn't it? But if you focus on the Olympics and whatever, because the one thing about, I think one of the things I said to Gaston and the Arnolds, I said, this is not a paid sport. It's a self-funded sport. Yeah, some of us that are sponsored, we're lucky, right? To be in a position where you're sponsored, that someone is looking after your expenses. Thank you. But a lot of people, 99% of people that do powerlifting, they all fund themselves. So we should stop focusing on the Olympics focus on making it professional so it can bring some income to certain peoples. Do you know what I mean?
the worry there, which is just the harsh reality of it. We are not, the people in this conversation are not going to experience that, unfortunately. We are not going to experience a product good enough where people, individual companies, and people are investing in this organization where we get that money and we can allocate it to the top athletes like other professional sports organizations do. We are not going to be, at least in our prime, before that happens. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a long time, but it can happen. I'm not going to be an absolute pessimist in this. I am an optimist in being like, what, lifting weights can attract people. If you guys are ever in a bar and you're a muscular guy, they ask you, fuck, you're in good shape. How much do you lift?
Yeah.
Like, oh God, let me tell you something, bud. I can deadlift almost 800 pounds. They're like, what? Like at the gym, I can only deadlift 315 pounds. I'm like, yeah, I'm one of the best in the world.
Yeah.
And then they start looking at you like, wait, and they start treating you like you're different because you are. That stuff is marketable. Lifting weights is one of the most easiest things to recognize how strong you are. It's one of the oldest feats of accomplishment that we know. I think in the future, it can yield something of an income similar to CrossFit, similar to bodybuilding, where people are making a living, and a lot of people are making a living just based on them competing in the sport alone. But unfortunately, it's probably not going to be me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. What we're doing here is paving the way, isn't it, for the future generation in terms of what we have to do. Is really important. That's why I hold accountable to a lot of big name lifters on social media, because they have to think about how many people they will be behind them. Certain things have been said, certain things have been done. We really have to be careful. I know we have hit like 1.5 hour. Angelo, probably Joey, let's jump to the last few questions because we don't want to make it too long.
We're good. Yeah.
So
I'm enjoying myself quite a bit.
You sure?
Good.
Oh yeah. Why? Do I not look like I'm enjoying myself?
No. Just making sure, because like
what's going on? Yeah.
No.
What,
It's
what are you guys getting here?
What
energy am I giving off?
No. It's not the energy. It's obviously the advice you gave prior to pressing record, the whole 60 to 90 minute mark.
It's good. No, I'll put timestamps in it on when you should listen, and I'll make it everything after the fact. That's a trick too.
True.
When I say hey, or get the headline grabs at the later part of the episode where people start clicking on that and then they listen to the original part. There's tricks around it.
I mean, to be honest, why would he not enjoy himself? He's the strongest lifter. He's the biggest name here out of three of us, so he should enjoy himself. So even though I'm second in the world,
honestly, I've been enjoying this conversation a lot. I mean, the last bit we were just talking about now has really put me into thinking quite a lot into what could potentially happen. I mean, right now it's no one can really say. I mean, it could even get to right, because we mentioned other sports earlier, like with boxing and everything else, that they have like cross promotion fights. Like someone's a champion from a different federation and all that stuff. Like, I mean, I don't know the likelihood of that ever happening in powerlifting, but if the promotion is good enough for it, if like, I don't know, it gets enough attention, I mean, I don't see an argument as to why it shouldn't.
I think powerlifting right now is filled with a lot of smart, young individuals that are on the come up. I mean, a lot of people making decisions now are not in the younger variety. And I think that we start to have to opening the doors to younger minds, because there was conversations that I've had with people and it's like, this is a good idea that can take the sport to the next level, but we have to get it through people who might not understand those ideas. Like ABS and people in ABS, like who we have discussions of amazing ideas that I love, that I don't know if they'll ever happen, because maybe it's like, if I try to convince the USAPL to do it, they'd be like, no, like we don't get it. Like, well, how does that benefit us? I'm like, it doesn't benefit you. Benefits everyone. Benefits fans. It potentially could be a new revolutionary idea on how to get people in. And then I don't know, I can't speak on the IPF side, but with that cross of potentially going with a WADA suspended athlete, it completely halts it. So there's a lot of like obstacles you have to go through, but there's the young people in the sport have there's people who are in the sport for a long time who have amazing ideas. Matt Gary comes to mind. Matt Gary, we had conversations with him. He's been in the sport for a long time. His ideas on like certain meets are amazing. I love them. Like team events.
Yeah.
And making it more of a professional sport, like having actual teams in powerlifting. His ideas actually work, and I've been seeing kind of like some rumblings of like it starting with like certain gyms doing it.
Yeah.
But like having individuals take lifts, squat, bench, and deadlift, but only using them as their, like say if I'm a deadlifter, right?
Yeah.
I would only deadlift, someone would bench, someone would squat, and it's on team game day.
Yeah.
Like these are like this is such an easy. We don't have to do a prep.
Yeah.
We don't have to do a full prep for this. We don't have to kill ourselves with like a total. We can essentially go in and hit a lift, have fun, and also be extremely competitive. Like those are good ideas.
You talking about that, Joey? If we do that, the UK will be the best team in the E3 in the world, because I'm gonna squat, Owen will bench, and Kunz will deadlift. So we go 360 deadlift, 220 bench, and 300 squat.
He can out deadlift me, huh? That's crazy.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, we got
me. That's crazy.
Yeah,
huh?
we can. Yeah, we
got.
All
right. I'm excited to see that.
He's mad. That's why I said we're gonna win, because Enna only gonna deadlift. No one can score for him. No one can bench for him. So he's gonna come like 11th.
Wait, hold on. Well, yeah, but he would represent. Well, if we're doing country based, he would represent Hungary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. No one in Hungary can squat and bench.
Well, but the UK, but if you go to the US, it's Russ on squat, Nori on bench, and me on deadlift. How can you even come close to that?
Oh shit!
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah. It's all based on formula.
So you're gonna rely on Nori on bench? Game day?
On game day?
His. Oh no! Well, game. Okay, so for game day, no.
Okay.
No, for game day, Nori's out because he's team Nori.
Okay.
And Russ is team flex. But if we go from game day, it would have to be different weight class. We couldn't do everything for weight class. It would have to be overall lifters.
No. We're talking about same weight class. So say like
same weight class, but like
all
you cannot remove teams because you might not even have a lifter in that weight class. Right? Like no, you might not. Like game day has 82s that we can do, but like I'm thinking of other like.
Wait, when you say game day,
I don't think we have a team game. Game day coaching.
No, we're talking about game day as in meet day. I know this game day coaching, and then I know this game day.
Well, yeah, like team-based stuff would have to be like, the fucking Chicago Cubs or something. Like that's a team. And then so game day for flex and Nori and Kraft.
Oh shit.
So you have to find your lifters for that, and you choose one to squat, one to bench, one to deadlift for male and female.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have to be based on formula. Like it would be, because I don't know if game day has like, lifters at every single weight class. Like I just don't. But country wise, yeah, we're doing countries on who to represent us. I think America would dust you.
What do we do? Dust us. When we do dust, Owen can bench 230. I'll give him that.
Okay, so you got one.
Yeah, 230 Owen.
No, but we're talking about overall. We're talking about overall.
We're talking about overall. Overall.
Yeah, exactly.
Overall total.
So 3 lift.
Yeah.
So if someone's gonna come close to Russ on a squat, you're losing already like 20 kilos a squat, and then you're kind of matching. You're kind of matching other. You think Owen is gonna go and just wipe out Nori on bench? Just absolutely dust him.
Look,
where it's an equivalent to Russ.
And Angelo, we lose 20 kilo on Russ on the squat, right? We gain that 20 kilo on Kunz or deadlift, because he has got 20 kilos.
He's gonna deadlift me like 20 kilos.
Yeah.
What the hell is this guy deadlift now? 830?
Yeah, no, 370, 375.
375 being deadlift? Where has he been?
Because he's just joined in. He's just joined the federation. You see him next year at the national.
Next year? What the hell? He's sibling 771 like 3 months ago. Where is he now?
The
bench and squat let him down a little bit.
Yeah, the bench and squat let him down compared to my lift. So, but anyway.
So he doesn't qualify for things?
No. His bench is.
Oh my god! What?
Oh, fuck's sake. Anyway,
I'm wondering where. I was wondering where this guy has been, because I remember he pulled 771 the same day I pulled 771. In Europe, he pulled it, and then the same day in Virginia, I pulled 771. So
Listen, all
since
I'm
then, I'm
saying-
like, oh shit, where's the? And I've only seen one competition since.
Yeah, but he's only been in the sport for like it's been what? Is he less than a year or so?
Yeah.
So give him some time. Next year will come.
No,
You will see him next year.
Okay. Next,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a whole year. I haven't seen him.
When I mean next year, I mean like March. Jesus,
Yeah,
Angelo, March.
yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay.
like,
All
5
right,
months,
that's better.
5 or so
Okay,
months.
okay.
Yeah, you will see him.
Okay.
So
all right,
we
I'm
have-
thinking like, yeah, next year, 2023, at some. Okay.
No. You see him. So you will see him. He will show himself in the world. People will see who he is.
Still by
He's a
20
very-
kilos, huh? My deadlift apparently took a 7 kilo hit because I only deadlift 350 now.
Wait,
I do
what-
deadlift 357.
Hold up. So if this team thing happened, yeah, we're all basing it off. Everyone just goes balls to the wall on that one particular lift, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, your team UK has it then.
Yeah, your team are gonna get murk. Believe me.
I would love to see that.
So let's move.
Also, we got to think about too on bench because in America we do have like 215 kilo benchers who just aren't at nationals, or
Yeah,
you
but-
don't see them as much. Like Nori does not have the American record bench press.
He doesn't have the IPF world record either.
He doesn't have the
Yeah.
IPF world record either.
What I'm
we do
saying,
have-
but Nori doesn't have the American record either.
Oh, okay.
So
But we do.
There's that.
We do
Like,
have.
that is not like potentially cannot be our best bench.
But we have.
But
the world
wait,
record.
everyone has to be within that weight class, right? Everyone has to cut for it.
Well,
at
no.
least.
Well, the idea for me, which it works, I think nationally it would work more. We could do weight class, but on team levels it would have to be best overall.
Okay.
Wait. Country against country?
Well, no, country against country actually could work weight class to weight class.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
See,
But
that's-
if we're doing it in the States,
Mm-hmm.
it would have to be team versus team. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But then how would
Because then, like, how do you do that? Like,
how would you guys choose the teams internationally?
that
then?
would be. I mean, it simply could be based on coaching, right? Like, we have team game day, we have team flex, we have team craft. There's a lot of teams, but that could be dicey because like not everyone could field a roster,
Mhm.
right? To make it something. So you know how like the NBA All-Star game is now people draft?
Yeah,
That would be so cool if we just start drafting people.
yeah.
Like if we start like, all right,
Shit.
like as the manager of this team, I'm gonna take Russ Orhee as my first pick to squat.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
like this and
shit,
then-
you know what, that's
like,
kinda
that'd be
lit.
cool. Like right,
is
and
cool.
then for me, like what Matt Gary was actually like recommending, which I mean, well, I would love to see. But it's almost impossible because like it could be the sponsorships then, like
Mhm.
SBD, A7, Stoic. But then like if I'm drafted on A7, I'm not wearing their shit on the platform
Oh yeah.
because I'm like, yeah, you
Fuck.
drafted me, but I'm contractually obligated to not wear your shit, and I don't want. And even though like you can get around that, I don't like the look.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, if I'm Stoic, I'm wearing all Stoic shit. Like,
Yeah.
I'm marketing the company, so I'm not but it would still be kind of cool, like, for that to happen.
Anyway,
like SBD
you-
sponsors their team.
You two keep on living in a dream. As long as we have all these old people running our
Yeah, we're
federation,
not-
we're not going nowhere.
Hey, I'm just saying this is quite fun to talk about.
Yeah, right?
I
It's
know,
cool.
I know
It's cool. It's cool to think about too, right? Like,
yeah.
just
Yeah.
trying to like just thinking about like us drafting, you being so confident that Kuntz could outpull me by 20 kilos is.
I'm not gonna
Fun
lie,
to
I have
me.
faith in him
It's fun to
outputting
me.
you too.
But I have so much.
Oh, he has
faith
faith
in
in pulling me by 20 kilos though.
him. Maybe 25.
Yo,
Okay.
yeah, 25.
Yeah,
No,
25 kilos.
20, no, 20.
Yeah.
20,
Yeah.
25. So if I have an 860 pull, he's pulling 380. Or
Yeah.
360 pull, he's pulling 380.
Yeah. We'll talk about.
I cannot wait to see.
Wait, we're talking about okay, this is all hypothetical, I know, but we're talking we're talking about in the sense that he didn't have to squat or bench beforehand, right? And you
Yeah.
didn't have to squat and bench beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, then we're good.
I don't want to be mean to the poor guy, but I think my squat takes a little bit more out of me than his squat. Right?
Hey, no,
Right?
no,
I mean,
no.
no, like,
Hey,
let's call a spade here.
Hey,
I
Juris,
squat
Juris,
300
You
kilos.
do know. No,
Juris,
you do know.
you have to take responsibility
Yeah,
for
but
this. I
you do
can't.
know. You do know. Even if your score is 297, but someone 230 or 240 might actually feel the same efforts as your 297, right?
Speaking on experience, I felt a lot more comfortable going into pulls when I had a 250 squat. Now that I have a 300 kilo squat, I'm like, shit, that took a lot out of my quad and my fucking hip and my back. Like, that shit hurt.
I can't
So
say
going
that.
into pulls, I'm like, fuck, like I can't get into hip hinge position. Like, that is one thing that I've actually found, that once my squat went up, it's harder to progress my deadlift.
Yeah.
That's why I consider myself the best deadlifter in the world, in my weight class all time. That's why I consider myself that. Because it's not the number for me. It's more so I hit lifts that count or matter more consistently than people in history. At least in my weight class, because I'm looking at it like Yangsu, amazing puller, but he was 7th-ish. He was like in the top 5 to 10 range at nationals. Ina, fantastic puller, young in his career though. But for me, I'm like, I had to go and pull 760, 787, 771 at meets, at like these high level meets to put myself in placing, and I do it at a more consistent basis. So that's why I consider myself the best puller in my weight class.
For now.
What's up?
For now.
Well, until their total is close to me, I'm going to still consider myself the best puller because my pull actually means something.
That's what I said, for now. Because they will get
It's
close
cool.
to
Or who are we talking? We're talking Ina or what's his actual name?
Cool.
I want to call him Lion.
Yeah, call him Lion. Yeah,
call him Lion.
That's a real. That's kind of arrogant to make me call someone a lion. Like, you're a lion. Yeah, the lion. Like Angelo, Ina, Lion. Like, all right, that's comparable.
Exactly.
Cool.
I mean,
but you think he's gonna get a total good enough, like a squat and bench good enough to be on a consistent stage where he's going against the top level lifters and having to rely on that pull, and there's some growing pains that go involved in that.
Wait, are you asking us that now? Oh no! Actually, during you answer this, I can't answer this.
All I need to do is push him to get to that level.
Okay.
Because I
can
know
you do that to me too?
Oh,
Can you push this? I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna say, all right, Joe. You could program me. Jurens is gonna push me to get a better bench press where I'm the best lifter in the world. I just need you to push me.
All I need to do is get a total closer to you, and then you push your bench.
Okay. And you all told me?
Next year I will.
Next year. I want to see someone improve from a 500 squat to a 660 squat in a year. And you know what I also want? I want that drug testing that's so good in the IPF to be at those IPF tests. Very often. Because if I see a 150-pound increase on a squat in 1 year, be like, he's getting out of me tested weekly, right? Like, what's going on here? Like,
it has to.
Yeah, right. Like, 150-pound increase in one lift is unbelievable. But all right, I mean, more the merrier.
I want a 700-pound squat, so that's the dream.
You or
that's me.
Oh, you have a beautiful squat.
I need more, mate. That's not enough. I don't have a pull, so I need more. Talking about I mean, let me bring you back to let's go back to the podcast, guys. Jesus Christ, we're talking about Angelo being the best in the world. Jesus.
Kinda. I don't know. I felt like 3 people outranked me since we started this podcast. I feel like I'm all of a sudden 8th in the world. That's what I thought here. So I was like, all right, cool. So Jurian, because you're actually the second best in the world based on IPF definition, you're the second best in the world. Ina possibly leapfrog me. We already know Russ is better than me. And now the Lion as
the Lion is not better.
No.
Currently,
the Lion's not better than you.
Oh,
we're just talking about deadlifts because
I'm fit.
Because we went into that.
I'm fit. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. That's fair.
Anyway, let me bring you back to the podcast debate. Sheffield.
Yeah.
I've heard you, you and your host. You kind of touched on that in terms of like, I think let me quote you if I'm correct. You said you don't think Sheffield will be as good as they think it will be.
No, I don't think. I got to go back into the actual quotes on that. I know if Pete Spence is listening, he'll fucking find this quote. But if I think based on the current way it is being scored, this year on the male side, is going to heavily rely on sub storylines in order for us to really push this thing. Because Taylor Atwood could kind of sandbag this meet and win. Chance Mitchell is up there as far as what he can push that world record, I think. But Taylor Atwood has this ceiling to push his world record total and his other world record lifts exponentially that would easily win him the meet. And when there's a person that's easily going to win a meet, it's not as fun to view. There has to be something there. There's a reason why when we do a podcast, the analytics of the views go up so much when we talk about the 82 and a halves and Russ Orhey and Norrie. People like battles. People like those storylines. If it's Atwood, we have to create a storyline for him.
Yeah.
It's going to be difficult. Where this year, but on the female side, it's almost a different story because then it's actually like a real Shark Tank. Tiffany Chapone, Leah Bavoil, and Amanda Lawrence. You got some good shit there, like you can talk about. On the female side, it's going to live up to the hype and actually have something for best overall lifter. I think next year, Sheffield, that's going to be the one because now the world records are going to be a little bit more accurate.
Yeah.
And then it turns into, okay, what can this person do in order to push Atwood and this other lifter because of where the world records are set?
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Like this year's Sheffield, make no mistake, live stream is going to be amazing. The production is going to be amazing. The actual viewing experience of the meet is going to be amazing. The lifters there are amazing. It's just not going to be, I think, the overall battle that we're hoping for that actual powerlifters enjoy watching because we could see this stuff. We can see lifters just push world records. As powerlifting fans, we see it. But the battles, though, like on pins and needles for every single attempt, that is at least my look at it. Like, are we going to attract casuals with this meet? That's my big thing. Can we attract casuals with this meet?
I would think that SBD for this upcoming one, if they want to have that sort of attention from casuals, they need to be really fucking on point with the wild cards. And you know, you mentioned Pete Spence. I don't know how much of it he has in influencing like which wild cards to pick, but when we spoke to Bryce Lewis, and I know he told us he speaks to Pete Spence quite a lot. I was like, sort of like not begging, but just like requesting, like, you know, take Rondell serious with the whole.
It's not even about. I mean, sorry, Joey, I didn't cut you there. It's about they calling it wild card, right? SBD should make it wild. You know, come on, it's on the name. Do you know what I mean? I know a lot of people coming on the podcast, coming on the social media saying, oh, this person doesn't deserve that, this person doesn't deserve this person. Mate, it's wild. Make it wild to have a successful competition. To me, I said, bring Ray against Oliveira in. Just imagine when people watching Ray against Jesus. You know, Rondell say you want to beat Taylor Howard. Sheffield is there. Go and do it.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
But then yeah, sure. I mean, that's what kind of my point to ask, like, to what we had this podcast with Chance, like who we would pick based on merit, but also like SBD. I'm like, if they just came out forward, like, we're picking where the fuck we want.
Yeah.
I'll be like, all right, awesome, do it. I'm like, that's it. I'm like, now everyone you pick, I'll be like, I can't argue against it because you just said we're picking anyone we want and they don't even have to hit a qualifying thing. But they made it to a qualifying thing now. So now, therefore, you can't really do that. Like,
but these guys are going to be champion, up to Angelo.
Sure,
they are world champion.
Sure. But they made it. The wording of it made it seem like there's a qualification process to it, and therefore you're going to get backlash on people who are picked because it's like, what do you do? Like, all these other people had to earn their spots at Sheffield, just flat out. Now you're just going to give it to people. Why didn't these people just sit on their ass during IPF Worlds, not qualify for it or even compete at it, and rest up and just get this Sheffield qualification? Yeah. If you were just going to do that in the first place,
might as well not compete at Worlds. I get that,
but some people are going to. Some people are not going to compete at IPF Worlds. And Ray Williams, for example, did a USAPL meet Which, how does that fucking work, right?
Yeah.
Ray Williams might do a USAPL meet as his last competition, and we can't have a tandem deadlift at Corrupted Summit, but that's okay. Right? Like Ray Williams is in the IPS Suspended Federation, and that's his most recent meet. But screw it. Let's do it. Like, IPF will be like, what? What happened? Ray Williams is here? We didn't even know. We missed the entire competition. It's funny to me.
I mean, okay, yeah, I get that point, but then obviously those that are in the roster now, they're solidified from winning Worlds, so there is still that merit from winning Worlds. But the wild card, I'm guessing, it's kind of like if they are the antagonist, make the wild cards be the potential protagonist against this sort of thing, like just to make it that much wild. It's in the name.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It's just I think I mean, in all honesty, I think the 2 light selection for wildcards works. Like what we picked. Like if you take that, I think most powerlifting fans would be happy about it. I'm just kind of like warning people that Ray versus Jesus might not be as good as the battle as you think. A lot of people I had to convince that a lot of people, and I thought that was kind of common knowledge, but it's not. People are comparing it to other things from like, guys,
I think
I'm like, one's on the up and one's on the down. Like I hate to do that to Ray, but come on, guys. Like we have to be realistic.
I kind of had that discussion. Well, we had that discussion, sorry, with Ryan from King of the List, and he's saying it's gonna be close, and I was like,
I mean, Ryan's predictions, you know, I mean, if he looked at nominated totals like he does research for King of the Lifts, and that's what it's telling him. Like for 75s for Raw Nationals, Pug was #1 because he just read nominated totals.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, come on, Ryan. Like we're watching what Jesus is doing, and we're watching what Ray doing, and if we're seeing that from other people, it's like they're trying to build the story because the story is actually there. Titans. People love watching Titans. But if you're in the know and you see what's going on in powerlifting, Ray has not been the same Ray Williams because it's hard to continue that throughout 2015 to 2023. It's very difficult to do that. And one person, Jesus, is on the up and up, and 2 dropouts from Ray. Injuries pile up. It's hard to recover from that. If you think it's going to be close, God bless you. I hope it's close.
I think this is what my take on it, right? It's not going to be close, but it's just a story that can sell.
Yeah,
right? A story that can sell. But we're not going to see here. We say, you know, I know Ryan from King of the Lift is saying them two, they have their last competition, they have the same total. He's forgetting Jesus have to travel 26 hours to South Africa. He was injured.
Jesus, you know? was also, it was all technicalities. It wasn't like strength thing. It was a technicality kind of thing. It's just a totally different comparison between the two. And if we're looking even at, you know, Virginia Pro that Ray did, it's a different meet. Like I mean, come on. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is one thing that just makes me mad. It's like, oh, the last 2 meets were the same. No, it's not. I guess Ryan had blinders on the entire fucking Powerlifting American Nationals too. He was commentating the goddamn thing. Was that the same meet for Jesus as it was for Ray at the Virginia Pro? No. How are you going to say the last 2 meets were exactly the same? They weren't. That's just not true. I would love to see it. I would love to see the final battle. I would love to see the actual battle take place. I had the graphic ready. We couldn't post the graphic on 2 White Lights 2 separate times because Ray couldn't do the meets.
Shit.
Like we want it to happen, but just saying like, well, their last meet, they were the same. No, unless you're just completely forgetting about Jesus's massive performance at Powerlifting American Nationals in Austin.
Yeah.
And the saddest part
come on.
The saddest part about it is it's kind of like you see that battle that we were all waiting for, Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao at the peak. Never happened. And then when Pacquiao start getting fucking floored left, right, and center, that's when Mayweather said, oh, bring him to me. And he beat him and they say, okay, I'm the best in the world. No, you're not. You beat someone a washed up lifter, boxer.
Yeah, and that's a comparison made on 2 White Lights, and it's sad because if Pacquiao versus Mayweather happened when it was supposed to happen, it would have been that much better. Granted though, if Jesus and Ray still happens. It's still going to be a story, but it's just not going to be as good as it could have been in 2021. That was the matchup at Raw Nationals 2021 I was most excited about. Mega versus Ray. Watching Ray compete, him and Russ are the only two people in powerlifting. I don't even think Atwood has this yet, where when they're on the platform, the entire crowd is just looking and on pins and needles watching them lift. Like an experience from this was 2019 Raw Nationals when I watched both of them lift. You could hear a marble drop, and that was the biggest crowd.
Yeah.
Was to watch those two guys lift.
Yeah. Why do you reckon that is, though?
Something.
Why do you reckon that is, though? Why hasn't Taylor had that?
Well, Taylor, Russ is the most marketable person in powerlifting, and he's made all the right moves, business-wise, and he has a terrific YouTube channel, and he has that look that people want. Like, everyone wants to, or everyone could respect how he does things. He's a jacked fucking dude. He looks cool as shit. He has the accolades on top of that. If you're young, old, you love that stuff. That stuff is marketable. Taylor Atwood, he was low key for a while. I know now he's really trying to like harness it on the social media. Yeah. But some guys are more marketable than others, even though they don't have the same accolades. Russ is that guy. Like, Russ is someone that people want to emulate. Ray Williams is on the flip side, not on the flip side, but his appeal is he squatted 1,000 pounds raw when no one was squatting 1,000 pounds raw. And he also has that look of just giant, larger than life. And he too has the accolades to go along with it. So it's like when you get that perfect storm of marketability and actual accomplishment, you get something like that. Taylor Atwood, I mean, if you look at some like live stream views, he doesn't match Russ or Ray. Yeah. It's just that's the thing I'm looking at right now. Like, I'm a powerlifting fan. If I'm watching Atwood compete, I'm like, this is kind of like you're taking notes. You as a powerlifting fan are always going to view that, but as a casual or like the casual powerlifting fan, their fandom probably lies more so with Russ and Ray. But Taylor Atwood has making bigger strides recently. Where 2019 Raw Nationals, the Battle of the 74s was highly publicized, even though I actually think it kind of fell short of the hype. Was highly publicized. Russ almost bombing out was still the story, just by being there.
Crazy, man.
And he hit one squat, and that was more the story than the entire 74s competing against each other.
I mean,
some guys just have it.
Look, what you said there, like in South Africa, if everyone talk about the World Championship in South Africa, people talk about Enna's attempt at 385 kilos, and you're forgetting there were big lifters there, big lifters. Do you know what I mean? Legends. They're probably like Hall of Famers, but people are not talking about them. People are talking about that kid last attempt. That's how it goes, isn't it? That's the world we're living in. Let me bring you to the question. Like, my last few questions. Sheffield, what are your picks? Who are your picks for the last four for the men side?
Oh God, I gotta look on 2WL's on what I said exactly.
No, forget about that.
No, I can't, because I can't give it because I don't know if I'm hitting the fucking standard, because I accidentally, when they told me off the top of my head, I gave people that wouldn't even qualify. Like it made no sense. They're like, no, like, because they did that. So I would have to think of what I said exactly on 2WL's, but I want to see Keiko, Emil.
Krostev?
Yeah.
That means 393s.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because I want to see that battle again. Okay. Like, give me the 93s. Give me the best battle always. You know what I mean? Like, but we saw the 93s at Worlds. I'm like, yeah, it was awesome, right? Give me it again, because they're actually really close and they have potential to push that world record. That's the best battle to me. I can't remember it was more so like if Keiko and Emil get in, I'm like, yes, like, please, like, have that happen. I mean, Anatoly, like that would be a really good pick just because it's merited. Like
Yeah.
fucking guys doing, his country's work, and he didn't get to compete at IPF Worlds, but if you're gonna make a pass and turn on the blinders, it's him.
Mhm.
And the last spot here, I'm trying to think of, because I guess the pick that people would want is Ray, but at the same time, it's like, how can you, like, I have a hard time going with Ray because of the
Physics.
actual like reality of the situation.
Mhm.
And then also you just look at like can't go powerlifting America. It's done IPF meets, done IPF Worlds.
Mhm.
Emil obviously has done IPF Worlds. On a totally different strange circumstances, has taken him out of IPF Worlds, but he's still in good standing.
Yeah.
Ray last meet was USAPL, Virginia Pro, has an IPF Worlds since 2019, and you're going to give him that spot. But I guess for storyline, you would put him in
Mhm.
as that last spot there. If I was SBD, I would probably do the same. I kind of want to see Rondell Hunt do his fucking thing in the USAPL, if I'm being totally honest. I mean, I'm kind of like, he's competing at Corrupted in a few weeks, and I'm like, we got
Yeah.
this guy. We got one of the big juggernauts here. We landed him because of the Trinidad Tobago situation. So
Yeah.
like we actually have this guy kind of like here right now. So I guess I would go. I guess I would go Ray on that, unless I'm missing someone and I'm gonna feel like an idiot.
So you're dropping Jesus.
Oh, is Jesus not? Oh, wait, Jesus. See, that's the fucking thing. Jesus, yeah, obviously would be on that. So Jesus would be number one pick, not Ray. I keep thinking Ray Williams is on the Sheffield roster because he should be on the fucking Sheffield roster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'll put Ray, and then I'll put Jesus and leave Ray out. As I exactly said, like I need to like go into Two White Lights on what I said, because the first time we did that, I didn't add Ray or didn't add Jesus, and Jesus's brother Pablo, I think, was like, "Yo, what the fuck? Like, you're not gonna add Jesus?" I'm like, "Wait, he's not in Sheffield? What the fuck?"
Yeah,
I'm like, how is he
man.
not like the guy? And then they told me the qualification. I'm like, okay, obviously Jesus, like you have to put him in. But of course, hey, I'd rather see the 93s go again, and Anatoly, because he can push that record more.
Mhm.
And obviously Jesus, because he has the best chance of pushing that world record total. Are you going to sit here and tell me that Ray Williams is going to push his world record total? Which is how you win this meet, right? We have to beat Ray Williams.
You win it.
Ray Williams is going to be able to push his world record total.
It's not just about pushing it; it's how much you push it by, like by percentage. Yeah. So
you have to. So he has to match. He has to at least match his PR total and go
some.
above that.
Yeah.
Come on, Ryan. Are you fucking serious? Is that really a conversation we're having right now?
You know what?
It's the most amazing accomplishment almost in powerlifting history, and the guy has had a lot of setbacks, and it's hard to. You're gonna say like, yeah, he's good for it.
Do you know?
What? Mega to do it.
Do you know my take on Sheffield? Look, I'm an SBD sponsored athlete, right? I love the ideas behind it. Everything they're doing is fantastic. It's notorious. We can't take anything away from it. But the only downside about it I'm seeing is they've made the World Championship as a qualifier.
Yeah.
So to me, the World Championship, if it this carry on, the World Championship wouldn't mean anything to people anymore. It would be, let me go and qualify for Sheffield.
Well, you see, you get that, and I think with the Pro Series, that's what we're seeing right now too. It's like we kind of have to rely on nationals being almost like the playoffs, and the finals, the Arnold's finals, is your your ticket to the World Series or something, or whatever sports analogy you want to put on there. I think they can fix it, tweak things. For me, that's what I mean. That's kind of what I'm viewing on the Pro Series side. It's like, okay, we can start expanding the roster for the pro finals and have weight class battles in between it. Start inviting the top 3 guys from each weight class. So then you have them go into a rematch and see who's the best in the finals, and give individual prizes based on that, but it's got to evolve, right? Like you can't start with that product. You have to evolve to that product. And I think powerlifting and powerlifters, and really just people in general, they see other professional sports organizations and you want to be that, but you don't have we have the advantage of hindsight where we don't see the struggle of every professional sport organization, how it started. Every sport organization on how it started sucked compared to what it is now. It's not even close. Like the divisions in Major League Baseball made no sense. They used to just have absolute no sense to them. And there's a product now that's kind of perfected, but people want to see change still. Mm-hmm. The NFL, like there was like 10 teams. The NHL had like 5 teams.
Yeah.
They were going against each other. Those products sucked in comparison to what it is now. So
exactly.
We're not going to have this great product or this amazing perfected product the first 2 years, 3 years in, maybe even 5. We're going to have to evolve with it. We're going to have to open up the roster.
Yep.
That's going to be the true test of these pro meets and the Sheffield is the actual evolution of them as opposed to hitting a home run your first time through and making it perfect from there on out. I know that's what you think you should do, and you of course should strive to be as good as you can be, but there's going to be kinks. Like I want the Pro Series finals in the USAPL to be top 3 from each weight class, best overall lifters from those battles get the awards of, your if you win, you win the professional championship, you win the championship of the Pro Series, and they give you a trophy and you get the recognition, you get some money out of that. I just know it can't happen this year.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. It cannot happen. You gotta work with what you have. Same thing with Sheffield. I love Sheffield to be the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Right. We're winning Worlds means something, and that's the overall prize. And Worlds is still a prestigious event, but also you can get the actual you can get another battle in between the weight classes. I guess it's a little bit different though with Worlds because that should be the final. World Championship should be the final, not Sheffield. Then Sheffield takes on a life of its own.
Mm-hmm.
Or Pro Series, like we're intentionally trying to make it the big thing. We're trying to call it a professional championship. It's like world champion is second to being the Sheffield champion. Sounds weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Angelo, last question for me is, I know you Americans are more open in terms of like, you don't hide things. You're to the world. So your next mate is probably that's the Arnold's, right? That's what you're prepping for. So what numbers are we looking there? Because you don't hide your training, so you can tell me.
I mean, we're hoping somewhere close. I mean, again, PRing my total is always a goal. Like if we get 825, we're happy. Like I'm happy with that. If we can wrap up 825 on my third deadlift, I'm happy. But I mean, from that time, it'll be great to push that unofficial world record actually just a national record that Russ has.
Yeah.
I want Russ to do this fucking meet.
Mm-hmm.
I want Russ to do the Arnold. I don't see any reason why he can't do the Arnold right now. Like that would add, then it turns into, okay, what does Russ hit at the Arnold? Let's see if we can compete with him there. Because at first he was competing in bodybuilding, or he was focusing on bodybuilding, and now he's competing in South Korea.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, so that means bodybuilding's not happening anymore. If you can compete in South Korea, you can compete at the Arnold, which is the finals that you would be invited to, and the best lifters in the USAPL are doing the meets. I think it's definitely a meet he should do, and then it turns into what the battle might be at nationals, but you get it in March. And I don't want to wait till nationals. I want to wait to March to get some real good competition there.
Mm-hmm.
So when is the Arnold?
The first week of March.
So literally 2-3 weeks before Sheffield.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Wow, that would be amazing. I can't wait for that.
Right? Well, I mean, wouldn't that be great? Like,
hell yeah.
So you get the month of March, you get the Pro Series final, which is going to have Bob, Petrie, Ash, Noriega,
Rondell.
Myself. Not Rondell. Rondell had to do nationals. So Perk is not, so you have to do nationals.
Okay.
You have to do nationals to get in. So Perk will not be at this because he did not do nationals. So Russ would be in it. I don't know if he's planning on doing it. I really want him to do it because look at the month of powerlifting we can get. This is also for fans too. He has no obligation to compete for anyone but himself. I understand that. But come on. Look at that. You have the Pro Series finals to start off the month. then you get 2 or 3 weeks, and you get Sheffield to end the month. Context, all that eyes, and all the excitement you get, all the different variables that go into
all the debates as well.
You get two amazing meets in 1 month. You get a separation between the two. It's not going to be a nightmare like it was for Nationals and Worlds being happening at the same time.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to watch any of Worlds.
Yeah.
And we couldn't really even do the proper research, even though I thought we did a damn good job with the research on IPF Worlds and Nationals to pat ourselves on the back there. But we get a separation here. It's going to be fantastic. And I would love Russ to compete at that Arnold, which I don't know if he's planning on doing, but imagine a lineup just with Russ added. Bob, Ash, Petrie, Russ, Nori, me. That's 7 guys right there. And then you can
on the USAPL side.
Yeah, on the USAPL side. And then on Sheffield, you get like the other end of the spectrum of
like
this
charts, potentially Kaiko.
Well, chance guaranteed. Atwood.
Maybe Kaiko if he gets picked.
Yeah, I mean, there's, but we know, and then on the I think the headline with Sheffield is the female side.
Who's the guy that beat you, Durance? Delaney.
Delaney Wallace.
Yeah,
you might get the best. You're just gonna get the best in the world compete in 1 month at big high level meets, and almost like the pro final is gonna be our Sheffield kind of.
Yeah,
that's gonna be our that's what we're trying to make is like the Sheffield in the Americas. Which on the female side on both too is fantastic. So
I don't
know. I would love. I mean, as a competitor, I think I would love Russ to do it. I mean, selfishly speaking, I want Russ to do it too because I know like if there's just any semblance of closeness between us, I get that much more spotlight on me, and I'm like, yeah, I know how much spotlight you give you, and it can give you a few extra dollars a month. That's for damn sure. But at the same time, like, I don't want to wait till September. We have all this time, and Russ is one of the best lifters in the USAPL, so he should compete at the event that has the best lifters in the USAPL.
Yeah, man.
And also, he's a businessman.
Exactly.
Like, this is I would like to talk to him, and if he tells me like it's not good business, I really want to know why, because I don't know business. My girlfriend handles all my business. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not a marketing genius and don't know.
But she's your manager. You just a cigar smoker and a puller. That's it.
Yeah, I can't honestly. If I had to make my own decisions as far as business goes, it would be a very, very bleak situation for 2WL's. I'm not good with that. I'm showing my cards right now. My girlfriend is amazing with this stuff.
Joey, does it remind you of someone that you know from the other side of the river? In number 66, that can't run his life. His girlfriend run his everything. Pana Gutis?
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, Pana's life is run by his fiance. Without a fiance, Pana is nothing.
Oh, so for real. Yeah.
Jesus.
So exactly just like him.
Oh yeah, no shame there. See, as far as the powerlifting go, I mean, if it wasn't for her, 2 White Lights wouldn't exist. It was her radio station that I did. She convinced me to do 2 White Lights because she thought it was a good product. And I'm like, whoa, who the hell would want to listen to a powerlifting radio show? And she's like, well, no one. I'm hoping you can bring people in to watch it. I'm like, okay, whatever. And it turned into a podcast, and and she's completely right about that.
Yeah,
Same thing. She convinced me to do my Instagram page as well, because she was like, why don't you just make a page about yourself? And I was always kind of against that. Because my actual profession is I am a teacher. I do work in education. So I was always like, I want to focus on my actual
Every time when I think about it, I still can't believe it. Just imagine your pupils or students calling you Mr. Angelo. I'm thinking, oh my God, that is so lame.
Well, really? It's Mr. Fortino.
It's Mr. Fortino.
Oh. Yeah, it's Mr. Fortino. It's his last name. So,
God. When we had Leah Beauvoir on, I actually said she was the strongest teacher at one point in the world.
Yeah.
She's not a teacher. I mean, she's not a teacher anymore. So I guess now it falls onto you.
All right, that's good. I was like, he still is. Yeah, she definitely has that title. Because Jen Thompson's also a teacher.
Who?
Jen Thompson.
No way.
Oh, whoa.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
you're not the strongest. You're not the strongest teacher.
I don't even think, because Keenan, what is it? Keenan Lee, the guy who just totaled the same thing as Ash at USAPL South Korea. He's a teacher too. Teachers are just fucking strong, man. Yeah,
He's
so like
strong.
he's stronger than me. I never
Yeah.
claimed to be strongest teacher in the world because I knew one Leah existed and Jen Thompson existed. So I never even was like, yeah, I'm the strongest teacher ever. I'm like, I'm not.
So
And
we need to find an accountant to take that hat away from Delaney then.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he's safe. I don't know why there's more strong teachers than accountants.
More stress from pupils.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, just anger. We get that. Yeah, we get that anger.
So Joey, does the word is telling you something? You have to go back to teaching. He used to be a teacher himself. So
I tried to go that route, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I'm halfway in, halfway out. That still is my profession. I went to school for it, and I don't mean to toot my own horn. I'm good at it. Like I am a good teacher, and that was my career choice, no doubt. And then my girlfriend was like, "You're a good power lifter, and you have a." She can talk me up. You have a persona about you. You have something about you that people like, and I'm like, I don't see it. I'm like, I'm amazed that you like me. So that's a plus. But okay. And yeah, but she was right to an extent. I mean, I have made money off powerlifting, and I have her to thank because she told me to do to kind of create myself an Instagram page where I could potentially get sponsors and get people interacting with me. And she was right. And, she now manages a lot of that stuff for me too, because she does have the organizational skills to handle all that. Like, it's hard being a teacher too. Like when people are messaging you, like I feel bad because like about business things, I'm like, I can't, I have to like 2WL's, like there's a breaking news story.
Yeah.
And like Steve is messaging me and like fucking voice messaging me. I'm like, I'm literally teaching right now. Like, shut the fuck up. Like I'm doing something, and they don't hear from me for like 4 hours. I'm like, guys, I had to do something for 4 hours.
Yeah,
I can't be on 2WL's and tell you guys like what happened and give my takes and go live. I would love to go live during breaking news things. I can't do it because that'll not work in a classroom.
Yeah.
People will be like, "What's happening? Stop."
It's just the priorities, man. It's just just how life works.
Yeah, but she's been really big on that, and I'm very grateful.
Yeah, no, for real, it must be amazing to have such a good driving force in your life. Like, wow, man, Angelo, I actually don't have any last questions for you, bro. But I really, really hope you enjoyed this conversation.
I did.
I just want to call it that. I know. I hope it didn't come across as like question and answers interview. We try to keep it organic and everything else. And man, we would love. This is me speaking, but we would love to have you back. Possibly for that March Madness you just mentioned, like with the pro.
Oh, this is actually gonna be March Madness.
Yeah, exactly.
Going on to for sure. I know the time constraints are a little bit weird with you guys being on the other side of the pond.
Yeah.
But Sam and also Steve would be. I'm gonna speak for him here. He would be happy to come on as well, and we'd love to have you boys on the podcast at some point too, to give us a little bit of insight on European lifters, because it's very clear that we are American based. We do focus on American lifters, same way King of Lifts focus on international lifters. We have our focus on, but we do want to branch out. Like, yeah,
I mean, by all means,
we don't have the eyes and
just a crossover would be fucking good. I would enjoy that for sure.
Yeah, I would definitely want Steve, because Steve needs to say my name right.
Well, he will in front of your face mispronounce your name.
Otherwise, I'm gonna squat his life. So he need to.
Well, I mean, it doesn't take much to squat Steve's life.
Him.
Yeah, if you can, at a point, I think you do a bodyweight squat, you're pretty much in the same. You're within the same dots, let's just say, as Steve is with the bodyweight squat. So, I mean, we would love to, have you guys on too. We like what you're doing as well. Like the growth of powerlifting podcasts and content has been great. Like, I do want to see more people do it. Like, even though like us and King of Lifts seem to have a bit of a rivalry, I'm like, I do need King of Lifts to be around.
Oh yeah,
Like
they have to.
we do need to like them to be here.
Yeah, they have to be around. You know, I think I said this to Ryan in the next few years. Are we going to be bigger than him? But he has to be around. He has to.
Well, the real question is, you're going to be bigger than 2 White Lights.
Oh, of course. That's
yeah. Because I mean, if you look at the analytics, I mean, you go on Spotify ratings and Apple Podcast ratings, we're kind of winning. We have more ratings, which means something that people are listening a little bit more. But yeah, like, yeah. But I mean, yeah, like it's going to be needed, but also provide your own like services and also your own strengths as well. Because like I'm hoping like us actually do our thing, where almost at times you're forced to do other things. But
yeah, I'm seeing it as like, as you mentioned there in the beginning, this is the sport that we all have to help to grow. Do you know what I mean? We have to do on the platform, and we have to do on the mic as we're doing. So that's what we need. King of the Lift, we need Wildlife or 2WL's to be there, and we need to push our side as well, because at the end of the day, you guys or King of the Lift can't just be the only ones that will be taking this sport somewhere. Someone have to be there, you know, and you need that support across the board. And we're not this kind of podcast where we chat shit about each other. We don't do that anyway. But if you chat something rubbish in your podcast, I will say it. Like Steve can't say my name right, so I will say it.
Well,
yeah, so call him out more. Fuck it, Steve. Call out Steve more. He doesn't get as much hate as he should.
all we're looking to do is that we want to be Europe's answer to 2 White Lights and King of the Lifts, because I don't think we have it here, you know.
I will say, like, as far as 2 White Lights, like, covering European lifters is hard because I mean, there's a language gap, but two, culturally too. Like, like we have a thing in America where we post all of our lifts. I don't know, like I don't know if it's a cultural thing exactly, but it seems to be the trend where like I follow like all of the Italian lifters. Yeah. But they don't really post that often. Yeah. And it's hard to really get things and like get us information. Also, like, I'm not training with them. Like, that's what helps 2 White Lights a lot. Like, I train with a lot of these people. I have drinks with them a lot. Like, we go out, we got to clubs, we got to bars, we go out to eat together. And that's all in, it's not just in Texas. It's not just in Chicago where I'm from. It's everywhere. Whenever I go places, we hang out and I get to understand them a little bit more. European lifters, I'm like, I don't, even if I do worlds, right? If I do go an IPF route, that's one time a year where I'm able to talk to people. Like, this is monthly almost. Like, Corrupted Classic is happening soon. I'm commentating that. It's going to be in Houston, very close to my house. There's going to be a lot of people there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're going to hang out. It's going to be networking. Like, we're going to be able to talk. Like, I don't know. Europe does not have that. No. Or at least Europe to America. I don't know if Europeans do that with each other, but Europeans to Americans, I don't have, like, there's not going to be like 5 events a year where I see Panayotis every single time. Like, yeah, I think I'm looking to get them once.
I think we're trying to. Well, honestly, we're trying to. I mean, right now, we have a bit of a friendship with the French. Durance has been asked to go do their silent worker meet competition that Pana is Pana and his silent worker brand is hosting. So at least there's a bit of a relationship there, and whenever or wherever.
The French and British are getting along. Historically, that doesn't work.
Well, Durance is fluent in French, so
mate, I'm from Congo, bro. What are you calling me British for? I'm Congolese. I'm African, bro.
I don't know the accent where you're from. I don't know. Like, there's a thing there. But yeah, I'm just saying, historically, the British and the French don't get along. It's nice to see that. Yeah. I'm a history teacher, so that's why I'm making those history jokes.
In powerlifting, we have to, because that's the only way we can bring this sport forward, isn't it? I mean, look at us. The Brits, we don't like American. You guys are cocky as fuck. But look, I've been with you on this podcast for like almost like 2 hours. I'm still like, can tolerate you. So that means like, yeah, it's working.
That's more than most people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah. So I actually think there's a rivalry. Is America and Europe.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's a rivalry you can actually get to that. Because, I mean, again, I like those ideas, like that would be a meet. European versus Americans. You actually do like a team-based thing, like the Ryder Cup.
Oh, okay.
That'll be some good things.
We're going back to this.
I think
I mean, it'll be great. Like, that's where I think the rivalry lies. Yeah, again, like you guys are trying to get me off the podcast, and I'm coming up with new topics. But yeah, like I think there's a rivalry more so in that. But it's good to see that you guys branched out more. Like,
man, it's not just about getting off. It's just that, like, there's this, like you said, like 60, 90 minutes. We're trying to squeeze everything we can, like into a bit, and then
Are you?
hope, and then my little plan is to have you back on so we can continue like chatting more shit.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
yeah.
mean-
If you guys want, I would love to come on again.
Hell yeah! Thank you
Because-
so much, man. Honestly, I've enjoyed this a lot. Like even that like hypothetical thing that was like firing off so many
Yeah.
ideas in my head.
Yep.
Oh, mate.
Alright.
Have a good day, mate. Thank you. I really appreciate you coming on. So yeah, anytime you want us in or whatever, just hit me up. We'll come. I want us to sit down and literally discuss America versus Europe because we have
Yeah.
the knowledge in Europe. You guys have the knowledge in America. We
I
can talk about it.
we can definitely talk about it. And Steve is actually out this week, so I could it yields a potential podcast. So I'll keep it.
Yeah.
Whenever
because we
you're
need
ready,
some
mate.
content.
Whenever
Yeah,
you're
we'll
ready.
try to come with receipts as well, just so it,
Yeah. All right.
Anyways,
All right,
have
boys.
a
Have a good
have a
one.
good day,
I'm
bro.
gonna go
Take
out to the
care.
bars. See you
All
around.
right.
Shit.
Have fun,
Alright,
man.
bye.
Bye bye.
All right. Peace, boys.